Chapter 656. On this day, Emperor Zhao of the human race attained the Tao, and the powerhouses of the various races of the four great continents attacked the human territory. The Qin Emperor of the human race killed everyone and defeated the allied forces of the various races with his own strength. He went to the South Continent to destroy the God race, killed the God race's perfected immortals and divine emperors, and finally killed the ancient Buddha Emperor in the battlefield. At this point, a top race was destroyed, and a top race was completely weakened. On the same day, Marquis Baiyun of the human race killed 12 perfected immortals, and more than 30 perfected immortals of the various races died. The emperors attained the Tao. The four great continents entered the perfected immortal era. As the demon emperor succeeded in attaining the Tao, the perfected immortal of the demon race had a fierce expression and suddenly self-destructed. Boom! The moment he self-destructed, the heaven list suppressed him. A terrifying sealing force spread, trying to suppress the power of the self-destruction. At this moment, the Dog Emperor and the other two didn't need to say anything and immediately retreated. They had to retreat. The power of a perfected immortal self-destruction was not something they could resist. The void within 100 miles was turned into a destructive pitch black. The void didn't even have the chance to become turbulent and was directly turned into powder by this power. The heaven list shook violently, trying its best to suppress the power of the self-destruction. Finally, boom, the sealing force shattered. The aftermath of the destruction swept in all directions. At this moment, a palm came down from the sky. Endless Taoist rhymes circulated on the jade-like palm. In front of the palm, the destructive power was like a small flame that was easily extinguished. The void trembled slightly. A person walked out and landed in front of Shiyang. "Father!" Shiyang's face immediately lit up when he saw the person who came. The others, they all bowed in unison. Emperor Zhao, even the Black Emperor and the other emperors of the three races. At this moment, they didn't dare to be rude and all bowed to greet him. It was very simple, because the person in front of them was a perfected immortal. Everyone below the perfected immortal realm was an ant. This was a perfected immortal at his peak. Just like when the perfected immortal of the demon race self-destructed, that destructive force could easily annihilate a nirvana realm cultivator. But in front of Emperor Zhao, he was just an existence that could be destroyed with a wave of his hand. With the appearance of Zhao Emperor, the morale of the human clan was greatly boosted. Looking at the demon clan, their faces were as ugly as if their parents had died. This was especially true for the experts from the vassal races. Now, in front of Zhao Emperor, his heart was beating violently. It was also at this moment, the void shook again. The demon emperor walked out in his human form and landed before Emperor Zhao. "Greetings, demon emperor." The demonic beasts were overjoyed. The demon emperor had arrived. With the addition of a true immortal to their side, they immediately relaxed a little. Shortly after, the atmosphere of the scene became solemn. The true immortals of both sides had arrived. Next, either an even more intense battle would erupt, or they would stop here. The development of the situation, they were all in the hands of the rulers of the two races. "I didn't expect you to succeed in proving your Tao." The demon emperor's expression was calm as he looked at the Zhao emperor in front of him. However, there was a hint of fear in his eyes. He was facing a true immortal at his peak. No one could be certain that they would be able to deal with it. Emperor Zhao clasped his hands behind his back and said indifferently, "Demon Emperor, do you think we should fight or make peace now?" "So what if we fight? So what if we make peace?" "Demon Emperor, if you want to fight, after today, there will only be one of us left in the four continents." Emperor Zhao's expression was dignified as he said in a deep voice. Hearing that, everyone's expression changed. If that was really the case, it would be a battle to the death. If it reached that point, no one was confident that they could protect themselves. Perhaps by then, even the rulers might die in this battle. However, no one interrupted. The only ones who could make the decision now were the Demon Emperor and Emperor Zhao. "If you want to make peace, the demonic beasts will retreat 1,000,000 miles in the western prefecture and divide this area into our territory." "Emperor Zhao, are you very confident?" The demon emperor's expression was gloomy. The demonic beasts retreated 1,000,000 miles. This was not a small matter. Once they did that, it was equivalent to the demonic beasts admitting that they were the losers of this battle. The news spread. It would have a great impact on the reputation of the demonic beasts. More importantly, if the territory was reduced, it meant that the resources of the demonic beasts would also be reduced. Naturally, their luck would also decline. Of course, now that a true immortal had been born in the demonic beasts, their luck had reached a very high level. Even if they lost some luck, it would not be a big deal. However, the Demon Emperor was still unwilling to admit defeat so easily. Emperor Zhao said indifferently, "Whether we fight or make peace, it's all up to you, Demon Emperor. Please consider carefully." Hearing that, the Demon Emperor did not answer easily. All of a sudden, a terrifying aura rose from the sky, and the void there turned into powder. Then, a shocking blade energy slashed down. In an instant, it crossed the distance of space and approached the Demon Emperor. The Demon Emperor's expression changed slightly. He waved his hand, and the space around him changed. He wanted to move the blade energy to another place. However, when the two collided, the saber aura directly shattered the surrounding space and shattered the power of the rules. The remaining power did not stop there. It still slashed toward the Demon Emperor. "How dare you?" the Demon Emperor shouted. He stretched out his jade-like palm and directly destroyed the blade energy. Then, he retracted his palm into his sleeve and turned his head to look at the void. A person stepped through the space and came over. Emperor Qin. Seeing the person who came over, the Demon Emperor's expression did not change, but his heart sank slightly. The flesh on his palm that was retracted in his sleeve was slowly healing. In just a few breaths, it had recovered. The blade energy just now, when he received it, it was not as easy as it seemed. As Qin Shujian arrived, the humans all bowed respectfully as well. Emperor Qin. Even Emperor Zhao nodded slightly and said with a faint smile, "Emperor Qin is here? Emperor Zhao, you've succeeded. Ben Huang hasn't had the time to congratulate you." Qin Shujian smiled. Then, he landed beside the Demon Emperor, still holding the Godslayer in his hand. His gaze fell on the Demon Emperor. "Emperor Zhao, why waste your breath on him? If the Demon Emperor is unwilling to retreat, then let's fight. Ben Huang also wants to see how strong you are after you've succeeded." As they spoke, the four rules descended. His combat power soared to 840,000. That terrifying power. This caused everyone to raise their eyebrows in surprise. So strong. The Black Emperor felt the aura that was like an abyss, and his legs and stomach were trembling. He realized, now, the four continents had changed to the point where he could not recognize them. In the past, the Nirvana realm was the strongest. Even if there was a gap between him and the Demon Emperor and the other top experts, the gap was not too big. It was not to the point where he could not compete. But now, the experts that appeared one after another made the Black Emperor feel how insignificant he was. Emperor Zhao and the Demon Emperor were fine. After all, they were experts who had become immortals. But Qin Shujian, the Black Emperor, was sure that he had not become an immortal. However, even if he had not become an immortal, that power still made him feel as weak as an ant. Suddenly, a sentence appeared in the Black Emperor's mind. Not a true immortal. Better than a true immortal. Not only the Black Emperor, but the Dog Emperor and the Earth Emperor were also shocked. When the other party blocked the powerful experts of the various clans in front of the human territory, the strength he showed was already extremely strong. But the aura that the other party showed now was many times more terrifying than that. The Dog Emperor thought of what Qin Shujian had said to him. At that time, he was still doubtful. But now, the Dog Emperor was already convinced of this. Even Emperor Zhao looked at Qin Shujian with shock in his eyes. The foundation of Emperor Qin has already reached such a level. He knew that Qin Shujian was very strong. But Emperor Zhao had never thought that Qin Shujian would be so strong. And 4 laws. He had never thought that the other party would comprehend 4 laws at the same time at the heavenly being stage. It could be said that, after Qin Shujian revealed all his strength, all the experts present were shocked. But soon, Emperor Zhao came to his senses. He looked at the Demon Emperor and said with a faint smile, If Emperor Qin wants to fight, that's fine. However, we humans don't like to start a war first. Let the Demon Emperor make the decision. He threw the choice back to the Demon Emperor. For this, the Demon Emperor's face was gloomy. He really wanted to not retreat. But the aura that Qin Shujian exuded made the Demon Emperor, a true immortal, feel shocked. If they really fought, he was not confident that he could suppress Qin Shujian. If there was Emperor Zhao, the Demon Emperor was sure he would definitely lose. Thinking of this, the Demon Emperor said coldly, "Okay, the Demon Clan will retreat 1,000,000 miles from the western state. We will stop fighting for now. No, there is one more request. Emperor Qin, don't push your luck." The Demon Emperor's eyes were gloomy. He retreated because he did not want to suffer losses with the human clan. But this was the Demon Clan's territory. With the Demon Clan's luck, he might not be a match for the two of them. Qin Shujian said, "The Vermilion Bird Clan will leave the Demon Clan from now on. The Demon Emperor needs to hand over all the members of the Vermilion Bird Clan." The Vermilion Bird Clan. The Demon Emperor frowned. In the Demon Clan's camp, many experts looked at each other. No one expected Qin Shujian would make such a decision. "Fire Sage, come out." Yes. Since the Demon Emperor appeared, Fire Sage, who had been hiding in the crowd, had no choice but to come out. She was afraid of the Demon Emperor. She was even more afraid of this Emperor Qin. After coming to Qin Shujian's side, Fire Sage looked into the Demon Emperor's indifferent eyes and immediately lowered her head in fear. But thinking that she still had Qin Shujian and Emperor Zhao on her side, she regained her courage. "Fire Sage, are you sure you want to betray the Demon Clan?" The Demon Emperor was not angry, but said calmly. Hearing that, Fire Sage took a deep breath, looked directly into the Demon Emperor's eyes, and said in a deep voice, "The Vermilion Bird Clan is not a demon clan. In ancient times, a Demon Emperor appeared and wanted to subdue all the clans in the world and unify them into the Demon Clan. Since then, the Vermilion Bird Clan has belonged to the Demon Clan. Now that we have left the Demon Clan, we are just regaining our former identity." "Good." The Demon Emperor nodded slightly and said indifferently, "Since you have already made your decision, Ben Huang will not stop you. From today on, the Vermilion Bird Clan will no longer belong to the Demon Clan. All the Vermilion birds in the Demon Clan's territory will be expelled." As soon as he said that, the Vermilion Bird Clan had been officially expelled from the Demon Clan. For the Demon Emperor, a Vermilion Bird Clan was useless. Since the human clan wanted it, he would give it to them. Over the years, most of the Vermilion Bird Clan's experts had been killed or injured. The strongest was only Fire Sage, who was in the 8th tier of the Celestial Being realm. There were not many Celestial Beings left in the Vermilion Bird Clan. Such a clan, it was fine to give it up. To this, Qin Shujian said with a smile, "The Demon Emperor is generous." After that, he turned his head to look at Fire Sage. "Go and take all the Vermilion birds away. Ben Huang believes that the Demon Emperor will not secretly interfere." "Yes, Qin Huang." Fire Sage accepted the order. Then he entered the Demon Clan's territory and headed for the Vermilion Bird Clan's encampment. At this point, the Human Clan and the allied forces of the three clans retreated. This battle finally came to an end. In the Demon Clan's secret realm, the Demon Emperor lived in the Heavenly Demon Temple. An aura that suppressed heaven and earth spread out from his body, making the entire Demon Clan's secret realm more stable. In addition to the Demon Emperor, there were still 5 elders in the Heavenly Demon Temple. After this battle, the Demon Clan's mighty figures had suffered heavy casualties. Until now, only 5 demon saints were left. For these demon saints, Li Changshuo's expression changed drastically. Although the Demon Clan had suffered heavy losses in this battle, the Demon Emperor had succeeded in proving his Tao. He had completely recovered their losses and had also greatly increased the strength of the Demon Clan. Therefore, they did not feel too heavy in their hearts. "My Emperor, the Vermilion Bird Clan betrayed our clan. Are we really going to let them leave so easily?" A demon saint cupped his hands and said, his words full of killing intent. In his opinion, all those who betrayed the Demon Clan deserved to die. The Demon Emperor said indifferently, The Vermilion Bird clan is weak. If they leave, then so be it. There is no need to start a war with the human clan over this matter. At this point, he looked at the 5 demon saints below. Our clan suffered heavy losses in this battle. 2 great saints have fallen, and the rest of the demon saints have suffered heavy casualties. Although Ben Huang has now proven his Tao, the other emperors have also succeeded in proving their Tao. There are more than one true immortal. Our demon clan's current strength is still much weaker. There is no need to fight again in the near future. Nurturing a powerful figure. It was not an easy task. Originally, the demon clan had many powerful figures. That was the accumulation of tens of thousands of years. However, in the previous battle, the demon clan's tens of thousands of years of accumulation were used up. Not only that, even the true immortals who had been left behind for hundreds of thousands of years were all used up. It could be said that the demon clan's current strength on the surface was their strongest strength. For any clan or force, the strength on the surface was their strongest strength. It was an extremely dangerous thing, because this meant that the clan or force no longer had any trump cards. Once the strength on the surface was defeated, then this clan would face the risk of extinction. Emperor Zhao of the human clan has succeeded in proving his Tao. Although Emperor Qin has not yet proven his Tao, his strength is not much weaker than a true immortal. It can be said that the human clan now has 2 true immortals. In the 4 continents, they are already the strongest. Compared to them, our demon clan is already lacking by a lot. The demon emperor shook his head and sighed. The human clan is indeed a top clan in the ancient times. Even though they have declined for so many years, they can still find a chance to turn things around. It is really not an easy task to destroy such a clan. After the ancient times were destroyed, the human clan was besieged by the various clans and gradually fell into a state of decline. But even so, the human clan was like a centipede. No matter how the various clans besieged them, there was no way to completely exterminate the human clan. On the contrary, as the situation became difficult, the experts born in the human clan sprung up like bamboo shoots after the rain. Until 200,000 years ago, the human clan had Xia Yi, a top expert who finally became an immortal but walked in front of all the true immortals. With his own strength, he separated the eastern continent from the 4 continents and gave the human clan a chance to recuperate for 200,000 years. Unfortunately, at that time, the demon emperor also had some guesses. He first sent a portion of the demon clan into the eastern continent and left a backup plan. The development of things. It was just as the demon emperor had expected. Although the eastern continent was separated, the human clan had suffered heavy losses at that time. They were still suppressed by a portion of the demon clan and were almost on the verge of extinction. Until thousands of years ago, Emperor Zhao of the human clan appeared out of nowhere and led the human clan to rise again. 2 years ago, the human clan walked out of the eastern continent. This clan that had disappeared for 200,000 years appeared in front of all the forces again. Until now, the human clan had reached the top of the 4 continents again. Regarding this, the demon emperor was also very emotional. Every time the human clan reached a critical juncture, a powerhouse would come out and turn the tide. It was also because of this. The various clans besieged the human clan for hundreds of thousands of years, but there was no way to completely exterminate the human clan. The human clan has already formed the general trend. It won't be easy to destroy it again. The demon emperor sighed. Below, the 5 demon saints did not dare to casually answer. At this moment, no matter how they answered, it did not seem appropriate. On the other side, the human clan army retreated. After returning to the eastern continent, all the human clan cultivators who were waiting cheered and jumped for joy. Eastern City. In the city lord's residence, Qin Shujian and Emperor Zhao sat opposite each other. Apart from them, no one else appeared here. Hearing the cheers, Emperor Zhao said with a smile, "After the ancient times were destroyed, the human clan has been declining day by day. It's only now that we've walked out of the haze. The glory in front of us is only temporary. Before the great tribulation of the demon abyss is resolved, we can't really be considered to have walked out of the haze." Qin Shujian shook his head slightly. In his opinion, The thousands of clans in the four continents were a small problem. After all, there was a force that did not even have a true immortal at their peak. No, there were already some clans that had true immortals. But even so, Qin Shujian did not take them seriously. There were strong and weak true immortals. They were judged by the strength of the rules. Weak true immortals. They would not be much stronger than those sealed ancient true immortals. Qin Shujian was confident that he could kill them. As for powerful true immortals, they were like the demon emperor, who had opened up many paths of rules. As long as they succeeded in proving their Tao, their strength would increase greatly. Emperor Zhao said, "What Emperor Qin said is true. But now that the human clan is not threatened by the other clans, we can recuperate and have a better chance to face the demon abyss. It's hard for the flowers in the greenhouse to grow too high. Emperor Qin, do you have any plans?" Emperor Zhao was startled and then said in a deep voice. Qin Shujian said, "Bin Huang is going to let the human clan recuperate for a few years. When there are enough experts, we will divide them into the four continents and open up a battlefield to train with the other clans. This way, we can plunder the resources of the other clans and let the human clan experience the baptism of blood and fire. Only in this way can enough experts be born. Only in this way can we be confident to face the great calamity of the demon abyss in the future." Hearing that, Emperor Zhao was silent. Qin Shujian's words surprised him. After a long time, Emperor Zhao sighed and said, "Emperor Qin, you're using all your resources to fight. Desperate times call for desperate measures." Since the human clan came out of the eastern continent, the number of experts born has increased by several times compared to the past due to the oppression of the other clans. Of course, there's a problem with cultivation methods and resources, but the real reason is that they have experienced the baptism of blood and have comprehended the opportunity to break through. Qin Shujian said lightly. The comprehension of a cultivator between life and death was not something that could be obtained by meditating on a daily basis. An epiphany. It was equivalent to dozens of years of hard work. There are hundreds of millions of humans in the eastern continent. If they cultivate step by step according to the current progress, not to mention 100 years, how many experts can be born in 1,000 years? In the ancient times, the heavenly court had 365 true immortals and a supreme expert like the Emperor of Heaven. However, the other clans were still defeated. Even the ancient clans were defeated by the demon abyss. With the current strength of the human clan, even if more heavenly humans are born, what can they change? Qin Shujian said, "In less than 100 years, if we practice step by step, given the current situation of the human tribe, there should be many ordinary celestial beings. But what about saints? What about mighty figures?" Emperor Zhao should understand that it's as difficult as ascending to heaven for the human clan to produce true immortals in such a short time. Therefore, Bin Huang believes that it's necessary to open up the myriad clan battlefield. This matter is of great importance. Do you have a definite plan, Emperor Qin? Emperor Zhao did not agree, but he did not object immediately either. In his heart, he was seriously reviewing Qin Shujian's words, trying to find the pros and cons. Indeed, the human clan was stable enough now, but they were not strong enough. The lack of strength. It did not mean that they were not strong enough for the other clans, but for the demon abyss. However, the opening of the myriad clan battlefield, it meant that there would be bloodshed and casualties among the human clan cultivators. To be able to become the human emperor, Emperor Zhao naturally would not only care about the immediate gains and losses and ignore the long-term interests of the human clan. Therefore, he was weighing whether the opening of the myriad clan battlefield would be beneficial or harmful to the human clan. Regarding this, Qin Shujian said with a faint smile, "Bin Huang only has a temporary idea about the myriad clan battlefield. As for the specifics, I still have to think about it seriously. However, Bin Huang is certain about one thing. The opening of the myriad clan battlefield is not only beneficial to the human clan, but the other clans may not refuse. And Bin Huang thinks that there's no need to hide the great tribulation of the demon abyss. In the end," Qin Shujian's smile had already disappeared. The great tribulation of the demon abyss is not a matter of the human clan, nor is it a matter of the eastern continent. The other clans should also understand that this great tribulation concerns the entire world and the 4 major continents. If this news were to spread, the human clan would have to bear great pressure when we were weak in the past. But now that the human clan is strong, there's no need to worry at all. Moreover, with the threat of the great tribulation of the demon abyss, the other clans have to consider the consequences if they want to start a war with the human clan. As Qin Shujian spoke, he added to himself in his heart. That was, if the news of the great tribulation of the demon abyss spread, the other clans would not refuse the opening of the myriad clan battlefield. Inside, there was also Qin Shujian's own selfishness. If the myriad clan battlefield was not opened, how would the human clan train their soldiers? If the human clan did not train their soldiers, how would their source of life come? If the source of life was not enough, naturally, there was no way to increase his realm. As a result, when the great tribulation of the demon abyss arrived, everyone would have to die together. Therefore, Qin Shujian wanted to open up the rule battlefield and have a chance to harvest the source of life openly. As a result, he did not have to personally exterminate the other clans to avoid causing the other clans to be wary and eventually join forces to fight against the human clan. After all, in terms of overall strength, with the existence of himself and Emperor Zhao, the human clan could be considered the strongest force in the 4 major continents. But the strongest did not mean that they were invincible. Therefore, even though Qin Shujian did not put the other clans in his eyes, he could not really do that. As a result, he had to change his method of harvesting the source of life. These things he did not tell Emperor Zhao, but there was no problem with the pros and cons that he had just mentioned. Only by going through the baptism of war and having external pressure could enough experts be born. 4 generations of the human clan. It was the same. Emperor Zhao nodded and said lightly, Ben Huang will carefully consider the matter of the myriad clan battlefield. However, since Emperor Qin has made the decision regarding the great tribulation of the demon abyss, Ben Huang cannot stop it. But as Emperor Qin said, with the threat of the demon abyss, the myriad clan should be much quieter. All of a sudden, East City Lord came in from outside, bowed and said, Greetings, Your Majesty Emperor Qin. What happened? Emperor Zhao said. On the other side, Qin Shujian's gaze also fell on the East City Lord, but he did not ask. Because East City Lord was a subject of the great Zhao. Since Emperor Zhao was here, it was natural for him to ask. East City Lord said, An expert of the Soul Protector race wants to see you. He hopes to see Your Majesty or Emperor Zhao. Soul Protector race. Qin Shujian raised his eyebrows and then said to Emperor Zhao with a smile, Let Ben Huang handle this matter. Now that Emperor Zhao has succeeded in proving his Tao, you should go to Baiyun Mansion to take a look. That's good. Ben Huang should go to Baiyun Mansion indeed. Emperor Zhao nodded and then sighed. This time, he was able to achieve Tao. It was all because Marquis Baiyun had buried the 12 true immortals of the Myriad clan in advance. Or else, with the 12 true immortals, he would definitely fail in proving his Tao. It could be said that Marquis Baiyun's decision not only allowed the human clan to have one more true immortal, but also pulled the human clan back from the brink of extinction. It was reasonable. Emperor Zhao had to go to Baiyun Mansion now. East City Lord, who was standing below, lowered his head and did not dare to interrupt. After a long time, Qin Shujian's voice sounded in his ears. Ask that person of the Soul Protector race to come here. East City Lord heard this and then raised his head. He then realized that Emperor Zhao had left and only Qin Shujian was sitting there. I'll go now. After saying that, he bowed and left. Not long after, a middle-aged man in a black robe with sunken cheeks walked in. He cupped his hands and said, Elder Ngu of the Soul Protector race greets Emperor Qin. Ben Huang has never interacted with the Soul Protector race. Why is Elder Ngu here? Qin Shujian said lightly. Hearing this, Ngu cupped his hands and replied with a solemn expression, I'm here on my emperor's order to form an alliance with the human clan. Alliance? Yes. Hee. Qin Shujian replied with a cold smile. When Ben Huang went to the North Continent to form an alliance with the Soul Protector race, the Soul Protector Emperor personally rejected it. Now you want to form an alliance. Do you really think that the human clan is easy to bully? No. Nge's expression changed slightly, and he was about to explain. However, before he could say anything, he felt a terrifying aura enveloping him. In front of this aura, Nge felt that he would be crushed into powder at any time. The threat of death made him sweat uncontrollably. Qin Shujian's eyes turned cold and he said indifferently, "The human clan is not something that a sole protector emperor can humiliate. Moreover, if you want to form an alliance with the human clan, you don't have the right to talk to Bin Huang. Tell him that if the sole protector emperor wants to form an alliance with the human clan, he should show enough sincerity. Otherwise, don't step into the human clan's territory without permission." After saying that, he waved his sleeves. A terrifying energy exploded and swept Nge up. In the next moment, he left the human clan's territory. Outside the human clan's territory, before Nge could recover from the shock, Qin Shujian's voice rang in his ears again. "If you dare to humiliate the human clan again, Bin Huang will take your life." It was just one sentence. Nge broke out in cold sweat. He did not dare to stay near the human clan's territory and hurriedly headed to the North Continent. East City. In the city governor's mansion, Qin Shujian picked up the spirit tea beside him and took a sip. Then, he put it back. Compared to the coldness just now, he seemed to be in a good mood. The Soul Protector race has such a day. However, in the end, the Soul Protector Emperor is a little stupid. He personally pushed the Soul Protector race into such a difficult situation. Thinking of the Soul Protector race, the corners of Qin Shujian's mouth curled into a meaningful smile. Previously, for Emperor Zhao's Dao, he personally went to the Soul Protector race, hoping that they could form an alliance. In the end, the Soul Protector Emperor rejected him. At first, it was normal to reject an alliance. Qin Shujian did not take it to heart. However, it was different now. The Soul Protector race had just rejected him, and now they came looking for him. Regarding this, Qin Shujian was naturally not a magnanimous person. How could he let the Soul Protector race have it easy? And in his opinion, the Soul Protector Emperor's intelligence did not seem to be very good. It could be seen from the fact that he dared to be the first to attain the Tao, but in the end, he became the weakest perfected immortal. This Soul Protector Emperor had high standards but low abilities. Such a person, if he formed an alliance with him, he might harm himself. However, the human clan was now powerful and was not afraid of a burden from the Soul Protector race. Since the other party wanted to send himself to the door, Qin Shujian would not reject the benefits. If I remember correctly, the Soul Protector Emperor went to stop Xueling Huang from attaining the Tao not long ago. Now that Xueling Huang has succeeded in attaining the Tao, he should be preparing to destroy the Soul Protector race. That's why the Soul Protector Emperor anxiously sent someone to form an alliance. No, this should not be an alliance. It should be a request for help. Qin Shujian had a faint smile on his face. He was not in a hurry. After Emperor Zhao attained the Tao, the human clan was now stable. If it took time, he could play with the Soul Protector race slowly. However, in Qin Shujian's opinion, the Soul Protector race should not be able to last for long. On the other side, after Nge was chased out of the human clan's territory by Qin Shujian, he rushed to the North Continent without stopping. Soon, he had already returned to the territory of the Soul Protector race. Inside the Soul Protection Mystic Realm, seeing that Nge had returned, the Soul Protector Emperor asked in a deep voice, "How did it go? Did the human clan agree to form an alliance with our clan?" Hearing the question, Nge's expression was a little ugly. Then, he told the Soul Protector Emperor everything that had happened in the human clan's territory. All of a sudden, the hall quieted down. The Soul Protector Emperor's face was expressionless. After a long while, only then did he sigh. Times have really changed. At this moment, the Soul Protector Emperor only wanted to sigh. Every dog has its day. Previously, when Qin Shujian came and wanted to form an alliance with him, he had even rejected him. Because in the Soul Protector Emperor's opinion, at that time, the human clan was besieged on all sides and was not far from being wiped out. Forming an alliance with such a race was no different from courting death. However, he had never expected that. At the last moment, the human clan had turned over a new leaf. No, It was not as simple as turning over a new leaf. They had completely risen. Emperor Zhao had attained the Tao. Emperor Qin had killed the immortals. With these two people, the human clan had two perfected immortals at the same time. They had become the strongest force in the four continents. My emperor, what should we do now? Engu raised his head and looked at the sole protector emperor on the main seat with a solemn expression. What else can we do? Since Emperor Qin has spoken, Bin Huang shall go and meet him. The sole protector emperor said. One had to bow under the eaves. Bloodling Huang had attained the Tao and had completely forced the sole protector race into a desperate situation. He had already received the news. Now, the Blood Eldar was mobilizing his troops. He reckoned that it would not be long before he attacked. With the current strength of the sole protector race, it was undoubtedly wishful thinking to fight against the Blood Eldar. There was no possibility at all. If that was really the case, then the sole protector race could only seal the mystic realm. However, it was the era of great battles. If the sole protector race sealed the mystic realm, it was equivalent to completely breaking away from the general trend. And breaking away from the general trend, it was a disguised form of severing one's own arm. There was no hope for the sole protector race to rise again. Therefore, unless it was absolutely necessary, the sole protector race would not seal the mystic realm. The only way left was to ask for help. However, looking at the four continents, there was only one force that could go against the Blood Eldar and was willing to go against the Blood Eldar. It was the human clan. Therefore, the sole protector emperor naturally placed his hopes on the human clan. After making the decision, he looked at Engu and ordered, after Bin Huang leaves, pay close attention to the Blood Eldar's movements. If there are experts attacking, you can seal the mystic realm first and wait for Bin Huang's return. Yes, my emperor. The sole protector emperor nodded slightly, then left the sole protector mystic realm and headed towards the human clan's territory. After breaking through to the true immortal realm, even the weakest true immortal realm strength had increased tremendously. The distance between the sole protector race of the North Continent and the human clan was more than billions of miles. However, in front of the sole protector emperor, a distance of billions of miles did not take much time. In less than half a day, the human clan's territory was already in sight. The sole protector race, and Hun, is here to pay respects to Emperor Qin. P.S. If you have books, you can open an automatic subscription. Chapter 657. Soul Requiem? Why did the Soul Protection Emperor come to the human territory today? Inside the Black Stone's secret realm, the Black Emperor had a puzzled expression. Although the Black Stone Condor race and the Soul Protection race had not interacted much, as an emperor, he was still somewhat familiar with the Soul Protection Emperor. As for the Soul Protection Race Emperor, the Black Emperor also had an evaluation in his heart, and that was that he was arrogant. He clearly did not have the strength of a top clan, but he had the heart of a top clan. So, he was also rather displeased with the Soul Protection Emperor. However, the Soul Protection race was far away in the northern continent, and the Black Stone Condor race was far away in the western continent. Both sides did not invade each other. This time, the Soul Protection Emperor suddenly came to the human territory. The Black Emperor could not help but be curious. Immediately after, he thought of what had happened recently, and a meaningful smile appeared on his face. I see. However, the Black Emperor did not care too much. In the previous battle, the Black Stone Condor race had also suffered many casualties. At the beginning, it was still fine. The almighty experts were all intercepted by Qin Shujian alone. But later on, in the battle against the demon race, the Black Stone Condor race had also sent out all the celestial beings. After the battle, more than half of the celestial being cultivators were killed or injured. This was not a small loss for a race. But what the Black Emperor really cared about was the matter of the emperors becoming immortals. This time, there were more than 20 experts who had become immortals. As a result, the Black Emperor felt a little uncomfortable. He was a Nirvana realm expert after all, but he had not even touched the threshold of immortal ascension. And among the experts who had become immortals this time, there were many who had directly crossed over from the 10th level of the celestial being. To this, the Black Emperor felt even more stifled. He could not help but wonder if his talent was really bad. There's no reason. I'm the most talented person in the Blackstone Condor race. Otherwise, how could I become an emperor? Becoming an immortal should only be a matter of time. The Black Emperor encouraged himself. Then, he entered seclusion. He had to go into seclusion. The four continents had already entered the era of true immortals. Those who were not true immortals were no different from ants. At this moment, the Black Emperor could only rejoice that he had relied on the human race. Or else, the Blackstone Condor race might not be able to protect themselves. On the other side, the soul-protecting Emperor had been waiting for 15 minutes outside the human territory. After a quarter of an hour, only then did someone walk out from the eastern part of the city and come up to him. Dan Hao of the human race is here to welcome the Soul Protector Emperor under the orders of the Qin Emperor. Thank you, the Soul Protection Emperor said indifferently. Without a doubt, he waited for a quarter of an hour before someone came. This was Qin Shujian's show of strength. If it was in the past, the Soul Protection Emperor had already turned around and left. But now was not the time. The Soul Protector race was in deep trouble. The Blood Eldar might send troops to attack at any moment. There were many perfected immortals in the four continents. However, there was probably only one human who was willing to go against the Blood Eldar for the sake of the Spirit Protectors. If he were to look for other races, he was afraid that the other party would personally capture him and sell his blood to the Eldar for a favor. After entering the human territory, Dan Hao suddenly descended from the sky. He looked at the soul-protecting king and said, "You are not allowed to fly freely in the human territory. Please descend and walk." The Soul Protection Emperor descended from the sky. Then, he asked in a deep voice, "Where is the Qin Emperor now?" "The Qin Emperor is currently in the East City. If we walk from here, we will arrive about 150,000 miles away." Dan Hao smiled slightly. Hearing that, the Soul Protection Emperor's chest rose and fell violently a few times, but he soon calmed down. "Sir, please lead the way. Please." Dan Hao took the lead and walked in front. The soul-protecting Emperor obediently followed behind him. "We can't fall out with the human race now. If we do, our race will be in danger. Bear with it. Those who achieve great things don't care about trifles." The Soul Protection Emperor kept comforting himself. He did not look at Dan Hao's back, because he was afraid that he would not be able to control himself. They would directly slap Dan Hao to death. 150,000 miles of land. He could not fly or break through the void to travel long distances. It would not take much time for the Soul Protection Emperor to walk like this. But the most important problem was, Dan Hao, who was leading the way, was not walking properly. Although his walking speed was not slow, in the eyes of the Soul Protection Emperor, it was really like the speed of a turtle. He dilly-dallied like this. It took them 2 hours to arrive in front of the East City. "I heard that this city was personally built by the Qin Emperor. I wonder if it's true?" "That's right. The #1 blacksmith in the four continents. He lives up to his name." The Soul Protection Emperor sighed. Although he was not proficient in the art of blacksmithing, he could see that the East City was extraordinary. There were several battles. This city had played a significant role in this. Then, Dan Hao brought the Soul Protection Emperor into the city. At this time, with the great victory of the human race, there were more cultivators in the East City. Not only the players. Even the native cultivators had increased in number. The reason was simple. Now that the human race had won, the other races did not dare to casually resist and oppress the human race. Compared to the East continent, the other 3 continents had more resources. Cultivation was not something that could be solved by blindly cultivating. Resources were also indispensable. In the city governor's mansion, Qin Shujian was sitting opposite the East City governor and drinking tea. After seeing the arrival of the Soul Protection Emperor, the East City governor suddenly stood up, cupped his hands and said, "The Qin Emperor has a guest. I will take my leave for now." "Okay." Qin Shujian nodded slightly. Then the East City governor and Dan Hao left. After the two of them left, the Soul Protection Emperor cupped his hands and said, "Greetings, Qin Emperor. Soul Protection Emperor, please take a seat." Qin Shujian looked at the seat where the East City governor was sitting. Seeing this, the Soul Protection Emperor also sat down. Qin Shujian fiddled with the tea set in front of him. His method of making tea had reached the level of moving clouds and flowing water. Not long after, the tea in front of the two of them was rebrewed. Soul Protection Emperor, please have a taste. Thank you. The Soul Protection Emperor picked up the teacup in front of him and drank the spiritual tea in the cup. He put down the teacup and said, "Good tea. Ben Huang also thinks that this tea is good." Qin Shujian nodded in agreement. But do you know where this tea came from? If Ben Huang's guess is correct, it should be the Sun Moon Divine Tea from the God race. Soul Protection Emperor, you're so knowledgeable. Qin Shujian smiled, then nodded and said, the Sun Moon Divine Tea is the top spiritual tea cultivated by the God race. It absorbs the essence of the sun and the moon. The yin and yang qi is enough to cleanse the impurities in a cultivator's body. If one can drink it for a long time, there is a chance of developing a special constitution, which is also very beneficial for cultivation. The genius disciples of the God race were all cultivated with the yin-yang divine tea. That's why so many experts were born after so many years. While talking, Qin Shujian poured himself another cup of tea, shook his head and sighed. It's a pity that the God race was destroyed, and the method to cultivate the yin-yang divine tea has disappeared. Ben Huang only got this much after destroying the God race. When it's used up, this top divine tea will disappear from the world forever. Soul Protection Emperor, don't you think it's a pity? You're right, Qin Emperor. Haha, Ben Huang has said too much. I almost forgot to ask, why did you come to the human territory this time? Qin Shujian seemed to have just remembered. Hearing this, the Soul Protection Emperor took a deep breath and said, Ben Huang came this time to form an alliance with the human race. Alliance? If Ben Huang remembered correctly, the Soul Protection Emperor had already rejected the alliance last time. Why did you suddenly go back on your word this time? Ben Huang was rude last time. I hope Qin Emperor doesn't blame me. Ben Huang came this time with sincerity. Sincerity? Qin Shujian shook his head slightly and said calmly, the Soul Protection Emperor said that you came with sincerity, but Ben Huang didn't see it. But Ben Huang wants to ask, why did the human race form an alliance with the Soul Protection race? Now that Sovereign Zhao of the human race has proven his Tao and become an immortal, I can also match a true immortal. Among all the forces in the 4 great continents, the human race is the only one with 2 true immortals. The strength of your Soul Protection race is not bad, but it's useless to the human race. There's no need to start a conflict with the Blood Eldar for a Soul Protection race. Qin Shujian picked up the teacup and drank the spirit tea in it. Hearing this, the Soul Protection Emperor's expression was a little ugly. However, he was not angry. Our race has been in the North Continent for 1,000,000 years, and our foundation is not bad. Ben Huang has also become an immortal. If the human race forms an alliance with us, their strength will definitely increase. Also, Ben Huang can promise, if the human race wants to enter the North Continent in the future, the Soul Protection race will also provide support. Not enough. Qin Shujian shook his head directly. The Soul Protection Emperor frowned again. Qin Emperor, you still want to do this? Ben Huang doesn't deny the foundation of the Soul Protection race, but your strength. To be honest, it's not that great. Qin Shujian sneered. If you're strong enough, why did you stop Bloodling Huang from failing to attain the Tao? If you're strong enough, why did you ask for help from the human race under the pressure of the Blood Eldar? In response to such a rhetorical question, the Soul Protection Emperor wanted to refute, but he did not know what to say. Was he strong enough? At least before Bloodling Huang became an immortal, the Soul Protection Emperor could say with certainty that he was very strong. But now, he realized that he could not say that in front of Qin Shujian. After a long while, the Soul Protection Emperor said, Ben Huang is not here to debate with you, Qin Emperor. The Soul Protection race is sincere in cooperating with the human race. Even if you're unwilling, you don't have to humiliate me like this. Ben Huang is not humiliating you. I'm just stating the facts. Qin Shujian said calmly, if you want the human race to help, it's not an alliance. But the Soul Protection race will become a subsidiary race of the human race? Impossible. With that, the Soul Protection Emperor flatly refused. It was impossible for the soul protection race to become a subsidiary race of the human race. The soul protection race has existed since the beginning of the world and was prosperous in the ancient times. They have never been a subsidiary race of any race. Please change your conditions, Qin Emperor. The Soul Protection Emperor should understand that the so-called prosperity is over. The Soul Protection race was prosperous in the ancient times, so the human race was even more glorious in the ancient times. But what happened in the end? After the ancient times were destroyed, the human race almost went extinct several times. Among the races and forces left in the 4 continents, some of them had a glorious past. But when it comes to extinction, all the past is not worth mentioning. Qin Shujian smiled disdainfully. Talking about the glorious past in front of the human race was like showing off in front of an expert. Talking about glory, which race could be compared to the human race? No, the devil race should be able to. In the ancient times, the devil race was still very strong. That devil emperor almost made all the races in the world belong to the devil race. It could be said that the ancient times were the devil race's world. The ancient times were the human race's world. First, there was the devil emperor. Then, the ancient emperor of heaven established the heavenly court and ruled all the races. Any race. In the past, there was no way to compare with the human race and the devil race. Qin Shujian said, if Ben Huang's guess is right, the soul protection race doesn't have any trump cards left. The bloodling Huang is not an immortal with broken rules like you. If the blood Eldar really wants to attack the soul protection race, you can only seal the secret realm. Sealing the secret realm is equivalent to completely giving up on the current situation. After a long time, the soul protection race will eventually fade away. Think about it carefully, Soul Protection Emperor. Do you want to become a vassal race of the human race, or seal the secret realm and completely withdraw from this great war? Ben Huang will give you an hour to think about it. After that, Qin Shujian did not say anything else and just drank his tea. On the other side, the Soul Protection Emperor's expression was uncertain. Become a vassal of the human race. This was something he had never considered. Once he made such a decision, it was equivalent to completely handing over the fate of the Soul Protection race to the hands of the human race. In this way, the outcome might not be any better than sealing the secret realm. But the Soul Protection Emperor was unwilling to seal the secret realm. Half an hour. It should have passed in the blink of an eye. But in the eyes of the Soul Protection Emperor, it was incomparably torturous. Time's up. If the Soul Protection Emperor hasn't made a decision, please go back. Qin Shujian directly ordered the Soul Protection Emperor to leave. He did not waste too much time talking nonsense with the Soul Protection Emperor. For the human race, it would be best if the Soul Protection race was a vassal. If not, it was fine. The human race did not lack a Soul Protection race anyway. Of course, the Soul Protection race's strength was indeed not bad. In addition to the Soul Protection Emperor, there were many other heavenly beings. Hearing this, the Soul Protection Emperor said with difficulty, okay, the Soul Protection race can be a vassal of the human race, but it can't always be a vassal of the human race. 100 years. Qin Shujian stretched out a finger and said lightly, the Soul Protection race fought for the human race for 100 years. The human race will protect the Soul Protection race for 100 years. 100 years is not enough. I want the human race to protect the Soul Protection race for 1,000 years. Okay, and the Soul Protection race still only needs to serve the human race for 100 years. But you have to pay the human race a large spiritual vein. A large spiritual vein. The Soul Protection Emperor frowned. But after a while, he slowly nodded. Okay. After the matter was settled, Qin Shujian and the Soul Protection Emperor both made a rule oath. After all, such a thing. Only the rule oath could play a role in binding them. Qin Shujian was the human emperor, and the Soul Protection Emperor was also the emperor of the Soul Protection race. Both of them were in charge of the fate of the race. So the rule oath was not only applied to the two of them, but also to the entire race. Unless, one day, Qin Shujian and the Soul Protection Emperor both died. Then the rule oath would become invalid. But before that, there was no such possibility. Immediately, the Soul Protection Emperor got up and left. Only Qin Shujian sat there alone. 100 years should be enough. It's not bad to get a large spiritual vein. Looking at the Soul Protection Emperor's back, he smiled. Qin Shujian never thought that the Soul Protection race would serve the human race wholeheartedly. 100 years. He set the time limit based on the great tribulation of the demon abyss. 100 years later. If the human race could survive the great tribulation of the demon abyss, the Soul Protection race would have nothing to do. But if they couldn't, there was nothing to say. By the way, the spiritual vein of the god race can't be wasted. Qin Shujian thought of something. He immediately left the East City and headed to the South Continent. Last time, he destroyed the god race. He didn't touch anything. He just made the god race's secret realm recognize him as its owner to prevent it from being eroded by the extraterritorial demons. The reason why he didn't touch it was because he didn't have the heaven list with him. The large spiritual vein spread like a mountain range. If he didn't have the heaven list, it was impossible to collect it with the storage ring. The void collapsed. Qin Shujian directly crossed the void with his physical body. Soon, he arrived at the god race's territory. As the god race perished, no one dared to approach this place for the time being. After all, it had only happened a few days ago. The terrifying power still lingered. If ordinary cultivators wanted to approach, they would be killed by Zhu Bing's remaining power. However, this power didn't affect Qin Shujian at all. He took out the heaven list. Then, he directly extracted the spiritual vein buried in the god race's territory by force. Just like the Eldar cloud race, there was also a large spiritual vein in the god race's territory. It was just that it was also a large spiritual vein. The spiritual vein of the god race was much larger than the spiritual veins of the other two races. Qin Shujian's divine will landed on the heaven list. He saw that the spiritual vein was sealed and suppressed like a huge mountain range. He sighed with emotion. As expected of a top race, the spiritual vein is much larger than the others. With such a spiritual vein, it's no wonder that the god race could produce so many experts. As a race that split from the human race, the god race's talent was actually not much different from the human race. However, the god race had produced many more experts than the human race over the years, not to mention anything else. In just the past 10,000 years, the god race had dozens of mighty figures and hundreds of celestial beings. Looking at the human race, there were less than 10 mighty figures at most. There were only 20 to 30 celestial beings in the entire human race, and that was when they were at their strongest. Now, after a series of battles, there were only about 20 ordinary celestial beings in the human race. As for mighty figures, they barely made up the number on one hand. Such a difference. It couldn't be said to be small. The reason was that the god race had more resources than the human race. That was why there were so many experts born. However, from Qin Shujian's point of view, the strength of the human race was also gradually increasing. At least, the speed of the birth of celestial beings was much faster than before. After collecting the spiritual vein in the god race's territory, Qin Shujian opened the god race's secret realm and entered it. It's really a secret realm with abundant spiritual energy. As soon as he entered the secret realm, a rich spiritual energy hit him in the face. In terms of spiritual energy intensity, the Qianyuan realm with a few more spiritual veins couldn't compare to the current god race's secret realm. Soon, Qin Shujian calmed his mind and communicated with the heaven and earth core of the god race's secret realm. Not long after, everything in the god race's secret realm had appeared in his perception. 2 large spiritual veins, 4 medium spiritual veins, and 3 small spiritual veins. Hiss. Qin Shujian sucked in a cold breath. F***CK. How was this a secret realm? This was a paradise for cultivation. Moreover, it was the best kind of paradise. A small secret realm. With so many spiritual veins, it was no wonder that there were so many experts in the god race. This is the true foundation of the top clans. Qin Shujian sighed. He finally understood what kind of foundation the top clans had. The human race was also a top clan. But to be honest, they had a large population. Without him and Zhao Huang, the human race would probably be the weakest clan. But soon, Qin Shujian's spirits were lifted. In addition to the large spiritual veins in the god race's territory, this was equivalent to harvesting 3 large spiritual veins, 4 medium spiritual veins, and 3 small spiritual veins. I'm rich. This was Qin Shujian's first thought. Soon, he extracted the spiritual veins from the secret realm. Rumble, the spiritual veins were extracted. The entire secret realm was shaking. Not long after, a huge spiritual vein that was thousands of miles long appeared in front of Qin Shujian. Not only that, as the large spiritual veins were extracted, a central spiritual vein and a small spiritual vein were also exposed to the air. Seeing this, Qin Shujian also understood the reason why there were so many spiritual veins in the god race. To put it bluntly, all the medium and small spiritual veins were actually nurtured by the large spiritual veins. The heaven list shook and absorbed the entire large-scale spirit vein. Then, Qin Shujian extracted all the other spiritual veins and put them on the heaven list. All the spiritual veins were extracted. He could feel it clearly. The power of the god race's secret realm was weakening. The originally solid space also became fragile. Such a change. It didn't surprise Qin Shujian too much, because any secret realm small world needed to be nurtured, and the spiritual veins and spiritual energy were the best things to nurture the secret realm. The longer it was nurtured, the stronger the secret realm would be. Similarly, the stronger the secret realm, the more difficult it would be for others to forcefully break the secret realm. To put it in another way, if the Emperor God was in charge of the secret realm, even if Qin Shujian had the Godslayer, he wouldn't be able to tear the god race secret realm apart, because this secret realm was too strong. The spiritual veins are taken. The rest are the other resources of the god race. We can't waste them. Qin Shujian was now a porter, diligently exploring the god race secret realm. Everything he found was put into the heaven list. Fortunately, the heaven list was an 8-seal Dao artifact. The space inside was vast and boundless. It wasn't a big problem to collect the resources of the god race. If it were a storage ring, even if there were tens of thousands of storage rings, there was no way to store all the resources of the god race. Half a day later, Qin Shujian stopped. At this moment, the god race secret realm was still the god race secret realm. The mountains were still the same. The water was still the same. But for some reason, now, the God Clan's secret realm gave off a deathly silence and desolation. After confirming that there was nothing to collect, Qin Shujian left the God Race secret realm. He didn't touch this secret realm, nor did he have the idea of extracting it and bringing it back to the human race to crush it. Through the core of heaven and earth, Qin Shujian saw a huge black shadow loitering about in the outskirts of the realm. That aura, he was familiar with it. It was the black shadow that wanted to enter heaven and earth when the Cloud Clan's secret realm was extracted. Even if its strength had greatly improved, Qin Shujian wasn't sure he could deal with this level of extraterrestrial demon. At least, Qin Shujian wasn't prepared to take this risk before he broke through to heaven being level 10. So, the secret realm couldn't be extracted at will. After leaving the God Race secret realm, Qin Shujian looked in the direction of the North Continent, shook his head, and sighed. It's a pity that the ancient Buddha clan has escaped. Otherwise, if I could collect the resources of the ancient Buddha clan's secret realm, it wouldn't be much less than the human race. Thinking of this, Qin Shujian suddenly stopped in his tracks. He suddenly remembered something. That was, although the ancient Buddha secret realm had left, the territory of the ancient Buddha clan was still there. According to the theory that there would be a spirit meridian in every clan's territory, the ancient Buddha secret realm must still have a spirit meridian. This matter, Qin Shujian almost forgot. With the idea of not wasting it, he made another trip to the North Continent. I hope Sihanhai has some humanity and didn't take away my spirit meridian. Otherwise, if I encounter it in the future, I'll inevitably have to take it away. Qin Shujian thought to himself. He also saw Sihanhai attacking the ancient Buddha clan's territory. But at that time, the human race was at war with the demon race. Qin Shujian didn't have time to care about so much. Indirectly, it also made him forget about the existence of the spirit meridian. From the South Continent to the North Continent, It was equivalent to crossing heaven and earth in a straight line. This distance was not short at all. Even with Qin Shujian's speed, it took a whole day to return to the ancient Buddha clan's territory. At this moment, the ancient Buddha clan's territory was dead silent. Many cities no longer had the slightest breath of life. The originally light yellow land had now turned black and red, as if it had been soaked in blood. The demon race. Walking on the ancient Buddha clan's territory, Qin Shujian could clearly feel that the rich killing power between heaven and earth was raging. But his divine will was firm. The killing power of heaven and earth couldn't shake him at all. However, if other cultivators came here, if they hadn't reached the heavenly human level, they would be bewitched by the killing power and eventually become a killing puppet. Such a method. It made Qin Shujian think of the demons in the demon abyss. Wherever the demons passed, the demonic aura would erode the earth and then turn the creatures into puppets of the demon disaster. But it was different from the demonic aura. The killing power of heaven and earth only affected the minds of the creatures and didn't cause any other effects. And wherever the demonic aura passed, not only did the creatures turn into demon disaster, but everything it touched would be destroyed. In comparison, the demonic aura was more domineering. Walking in the ancient Buddha clan's territory, Qin Shujian asked, was heaven and earth also created by an expert above the rules? The level of the demonic aura was very high, just like the spirit aura. If the demon abyss was related to the rules, then heaven and earth should be the same. Hearing this, the Godslayer said, maybe not. I haven't seen what kind of existence above the rules with my own eyes. If you have the chance to come into contact with the rules in the future, maybe you can understand. At the end of his words, he seemed to have some meaning. Qin Shujian didn't comment. He was just asking casually. However, this heaven and earth might really be created by an expert. It was not impossible. What kind of realm was above the rules? To be honest, Qin Shujian didn't know. Anyway, there had never been an expert in heaven and earth who had reached that realm. Even someone as strong as the Emperor of Heaven was stuck at the 9th level of a mortal. Then, Qin Shujian flew into the air and covered the entire ancient Buddha clan's territory with his divine consciousness. Soon, he found the location of the ancient Buddha clan's spirit vein. The earth separated. A huge spirit vein was extracted. This spirit vein was even larger than the god race's spirit vein. After extracting the spirit vein, Qin Shujian immediately put it away with the heaven list, then turned and returned to the eastern continent. But before he left, he split a strand of divine consciousness and went into the distance. His divine consciousness broke through the air. Not long after, he came to the Blood Eldar's territory, Blood Spirit's secret realm. Bloodling Huang was resting with his eyes closed in the main hall. Suddenly, he opened his eyes, looked at the elder below, and said faintly, "The Qin Emperor of the human clan has arrived. Go and welcome him." Yes. The elder bowed and then walked out of the main hall. At this moment, the expressions of the other elders changed slightly. Zhu Yu said in confusion, "My emperor, the Qin Emperor of the human clan came here this time. I'm afraid his purpose is not that simple. Counter soldiers with arms, water with an earthweir. Don't worry too much." Bloodling Huang's face remained calm. Hearing that, Zhu Yu didn't say anything else. He didn't have a good impression of the human clan. In the battle of the human clan's territory, if it weren't for Bloodling Huang's help, he would have died there. The Blood Spirit's secret realm opened. An elder walked out and looked at Qin Shujian in front of him. He immediately cupped his hands and said, "On the order of my emperor, I'm here to invite the Qin Emperor to come in for a chat." "Thank you." Qin Shujian nodded and then followed him in. After entering, he also found the difference. It was the same as the secret realm of the God Clan. The secret realm of the Blood Eldar was also very powerful. And in comparison, this secret realm was even more powerful than the secret realm of the God Clan. This was a normal thing. After all, in terms of foundation, the Blood Eldar was much more profound than the God Clan. Because the God Clan was just a race that split off from the human clan, there was no way it could be compared with the Blood Eldar, a race that had existed since the beginning of the world. After entering the main hall, Qin Shujian looked at Bloodling Huang in front of him, clasped his hands behind his back, and said with a faint smile, "Bloodling Huang." He didn't show any courtesy because there was no need for that. The position of the human emperor was never below that of the other emperors. Seeing that, the other experts of the Blood Eldar didn't say anything. Bloodling Huang also said calmly, "What is the purpose of your visit to the Blood Eldar?" Not long ago, the Spirit Protector race became a vassal race of the human clan. The human clan also promised to protect the Spirit Protector race for 1,000 years. Ben Huang knows that the Spirit Protector race has some grudges with the human clan. However, Ben Huang still hopes that Bloodling Huang will let this matter go for the sake of the human clan. Once the 1,000 years are up, the human clan won't interfere anymore. Qin Shujian said straightforwardly. The purpose of his visit to the Blood Eldar this time was for the Spirit Protector race. Since the Spirit Protector race was willing to be a vassal of the human clan, then he would make a trip for this little brother. After that, Bloodling Huang didn't say anything. However, Zhu Yu, who was at the side, scolded coldly, "Qin Emperor, aren't you looking down on my race? The soul-protecting emperor dared to obstruct my emperor from attaining the Tao. This is a grudge that will not rest until one of us is dead. Qin Emperor, you are too much to ask us to stop at this time." After that, Zhu Yu sneered and said, "Or does Qin Emperor think that now that the human clan has one more true immortal, they can really disregard the other races of the 4 great continents and interfere with the matters of the Blood Eldar?" Ben Huang is talking to Bloodling Huang. "When is it your turn to interrupt?" Qin Shujian's expression was slightly cold. Then, he casually waved his sleeves, and his aura turned into a shocking saber light that slashed down. Zhu Yu's expression changed drastically. Without thinking, he released his vital essence, and his protective aura became solid. Boom! The saber light slashed down, and his protective aura shattered. Zhu Yu flew out, his chest was shattered, and he coughed up blood. The sudden change. Everyone's expression changed. Bloodling Huang's eyes were also cold. "Qin Emperor, you openly attacked in the main hall of our clan. You are not putting our clan in your eyes. The people of the Blood Eldar lack manners. Since Bloodling Huang did not discipline them, then Ben Huang will help you discipline them. After all, an emperor cannot be humiliated. Bloodling Huang should understand this point." Qin Shujian retracted his palm and said lightly. Hearing this, the other elders were glaring at him angrily. However, no one spoke casually. Zhu Yu's strength was enough to be ranked in the top 3 of the Blood Eldar. Even so, he could not resist the other party's attack. In other words, if Qin Shujian wanted to kill any one of them, it would not take much effort. Bloodling Huang said, "I have heard that Qin Emperor's strength is astonishing, and has reached the level of the ancient legends of celestial beings killing immortals. Ben Huang also wants to see if the so-called celestial beings killing immortals really exists." These words. It was already a challenge. "As you wish." Qin Shujian looked at Bloodling Huang with his hands behind his back and said, "Ben Huang also wants to see how strong Bloodling Huang has become after successfully proving his Tao." After saying this, he took a step forward. Immediately, Qin Shujian's body disappeared and turned into a shocking blade that slashed towards Bloodling Huang. This blade, it directly made the elders in the main hall cough up blood and retreat. Bloodling Huang's face was also solemn. He got up and punched forward, colliding fiercely with Qin Shujian's attack. Boom! The moment the two collided, the void collapsed, and all the light seemed to be absorbed by the endless darkness. The terrifying aftermath spread from within and was about to sweep in all directions. Bloodling Huang struck out with his palm again, grabbing all the aftermath in his hand and finally suppressing it forcefully. At this point, everything in the main hall returned to normal. It was just that Qin Shujian's figure had disappeared. As for the other Blood Eldar elders, at this time, they were all gasping for breath, and there was a look of horror in their eyes. Just now, they all felt the threat of death. "My emperor." An elder looked at Bloodling Huang with eyes full of shock. Bloodling Huang sat back again, as if nothing had happened. Calm words came out of his mouth. "Cancel all the arrangements against the Soul Protector race. P.S. I beg for monthly votes. I hope this book's monthly votes ranking can be better. Chapter 658, East Continent, Bayun Mansion. Ever since Marquis Bayun detonated the rules, the entire city had fallen into a state of martial law. Inside Marquis Bayun Mansion, the atmosphere was also very solemn. Are there any unusual movements in Bayun Manor? Xiao Hong asked Li Guang'an and the others as he sat in the main hall. With the Qinyuan sacred ground there is no movement for the time being. Okay, pay close attention to the movements of the cultivators in Zongyang City and ensure the safety of the mansion. Xiao Hong nodded and said, currently, he was the only diviner in the Northern Cloud Marquis Manor, so he was fully in charge of all matters, big or small. Su Mingying looked solemn and said, Butler Xiao, is the Marquis really dead? The Marquis will not die. Xiao Hong said in a powerful voice, no one in the world can kill the Marquis, and the Marquis will not die. If anyone deliberately spreads rumors at this time, they will be severely punished. We understand. Su Mingyang was shocked and immediately lowered his head. Xiao Hong waved his hand and said, let's go. The Bayun Mansion will not collapse. Seeing this, Li Guang'an and the others all cupped their hands and left. Soon, Xiao Hong was the only one left in the hall. Alas, he let out a long sigh. Then, Xiao Hong's expression was a little complicated and heavy, far from the calmness he had when facing Li Guang'an and the others just now. His Majesty has already become an immortal, and the situation of the human race is very good. I don't think there will be any accidents. In the past few days, he had been under a lot of pressure. Although the situation seemed very stable now that the two emperors of the human race were ruling. But in fact, where there were people, there would be disputes. What's more, Bayun Mansion was one of the 13 mansions of the Great Zhao. It covered hundreds of millions of square meters and had countless people and cultivators in it. In the past, Marquis Bayun suppressed it. No one dared to cause any trouble. But since the incident of the Great Zhao, Xiao Hong felt that there was an undercurrent in Bayun Mansion. However, Marquis Bayun's authority was still there. In addition, he was also a diviner, so he could barely stabilize the situation. So far, there had been no chaos. However, Xiao Hong had a hunch. If this situation continued, the Bayun Marquis residence's power would gradually dissipate. In the hall, Xiao Hong's gaze was somewhat unfocused. All of a sudden, he seemed to have sensed something in his heart. His unfocused eyes instantly focused as he hurriedly stood up and bowed. Xiao Hong greets Your Majesty. You may rise. Thank you, Your Majesty. Xiao Hong stood up. Then, he looked at Emperor Zhao with eyes full of surprise. Is Your Majesty here for the Marquis? How is Marquis Bayun now? Your Majesty, please follow me. Xiao Hong bowed and said. Emperor Zhao nodded. Lead the way. Your Majesty, please. Xiao Hong led the Zhao Emperor out of the hall. Before long, they arrived at a secret room. The secret room was very spacious, and there was only a stone bed placed there. There was a person lying on the stone bed. That person was none other than Marquis Bayun. Coming before the stone bed, Xiao Hong looked at Zhao Emperor and said, The Marquis is still alive, but he has been unconscious. Your Majesty, do you know why? This body was reborn from a drop of his blood. Only a trace of the divine spirit remains. Now, the divine spirit is too weak to completely revive him. That's why he's in a coma, Emperor Zhao said in a deep voice. With just a glance, he saw the problem with Marquis Bayun. The Marquis Bayun in front of him was the real Marquis Bayun. The Marquis Bayun who had self-destructed under the rules of the human emperor was also Marquis Bayun. But there was a difference. The Marquis Bayun in front of him was just a drop of blood essence when he was at his peak. Then, he left a trace of the divine spirit in his body as the capital for future rebirth. The rest, Marquis Bayun was buried with the 12 perfected immortals. The reason why he had to be so decisive was that he had no choice. If Marquis Bayun was too weak at that time, it was inevitable that others would find clues. So, only a trace of the divine spirit was left as the root, and the rest were all sacrificed. It was a fight to the death. Hearing that, Xiao Hong's face turned ugly. Does the Marquis have to stay unconscious? Your Majesty, Do you know a way to restore the divine spirit? Among the three elements, the divine spirit is the most mysterious. The divine spirit is the foundation of a cultivator and also the bridge to communicate with heaven and earth. It's not easy to restore the divine spirit. Emperor Zhao shook his head and then said with a faint smile, "However, although I don't have a way, someone can do it." "Who?" "Emperor Qin." "Emperor Qin?" Xiao Hong was stunned. Emperor Zhao had already become an immortal, but he still couldn't restore the divine spirit. Could Emperor Qin do it? Don't worry. Even if Emperor Qin can't do it, Marquis Baiyun will be fine. His divine spirit is slowly recovering, but this process will take a long time. If there is enough spiritual energy, it can be sped up. Now in Baiyun Mansion, the only places with abundant spiritual energy are the spiritual zone of Mount Liang and the Qian Yuan realm. Emperor Zhao, you mean it's best to escort the Marquis to the Qian Yuan realm? Emperor Qin should be back soon. Then, you can send someone to the Qian Yuan realm. He will deal with this matter. As for other things in Baiyun Mansion, you don't have to worry too much. As long as Great Zhao and I are still here, Baiyun Mansion will not be in chaos. Emperor Zhao said lightly. Hearing that, Xiao Hong was relieved. Then, Emperor Zhao looked at the stone spear beside Marquis Baiyun, cupped his hands slightly, and turned to leave. He didn't touch the Zubing. It belonged to Marquis Baiyun. Moreover, a Zubing was not enough to move Emperor Zhao. As Emperor Zhao left, Xiao Hong also left the secret chamber. Then, he called Li Guang'an and the others and told them to go to the Qian Yuan realm. On the other side, Qin Shujian had just returned to the eastern continent. Suddenly, he stopped and turned to look in the direction of the north continent as a faint smile appeared on his face. Bloodling Huang's strength is indeed not bad. But before I break through, I'm still not strong enough to compete with him. Qin Shujian shook his head. He also had a comprehensive understanding of his current strength. He was at the 7th level of the celestial being realm. He could compete with an ordinary level 1 celestial being by using the power of the 4 laws. But he was still not strong enough to win against a powerful level 1 celestial like Emperor Zhao, because the law of human Tao that Emperor Zhao followed was very powerful. At least, it was much more powerful than the law of the human emperor. Or else Emperor Zhao would not abandon the law of the human emperor and follow the law of human Tao. It could be said that, among the perfected immortals of the 4 major continents, Emperor Zhao was considered to be in the first echelon. As for perfected immortals like Demon Emperor Bloodling Huang who followed the law of the sovereign Tao, they were considered to be in the 2nd echelon. Most of the remaining emperors also followed the law of the sovereign Tao. But there were differences between the law of the sovereign Tao. For example, the demonic emperor's law, the blood spirit emperor's law, and so on, had given birth to top-notch experts in the past. Their predecessors had developed the law to an extremely wide extent, and their potential and strength were incomparable to other laws. As for those non-top clans and forces, although there were many perfected immortals in the past, they could not be compared to Demon Emperor Blood Eldar. So, their laws were innately weaker as well. Therefore, the emperors of the other clans were in the 3rd echelon. As for the perfected immortals who were not emperors, their laws were even weaker. They were equivalent to the 4th echelon. As for the 5th echelon, there was only one person, and that was the Soul Protection Emperor. It could be said that the 5th echelon was basically negligible. Qin Shujian's real focus was on the first 4 echelons. Level 1 immortals are divided into 5 echelons. No, strictly speaking, they are divided into 4 echelons. The Soul Protection Emperor is just an accident. My strength should be stronger than the perfected immortals in the 4th echelon. But I don't know how strong I am compared to the perfected immortals in the 3rd echelon. But I should be weaker than the 1st and 2nd echelon. Qin Shujian compared his strength with the other perfected immortals. However, he was not discouraged. After all, he was only at level 7 of the celestial being. If he could break through to level 8 of the celestial being, he should be able to reach the level of the 2nd echelon. He might even be stronger. As for Emperor Zhao, he followed the law of the human Tao. Although he was only at level 1 of the immortals, his true strength was comparable to a level 2 immortal. As for whether he could fight against a level 3 immortal, it was unknown for the time being. But this was not important. At least, Qin Shujian knew that his strength was comparable to that of a perfected immortal. It could be said that the Demon Emperor and Bloodling Huang had already experienced it. In the eyes of the two races, the human race was equivalent to having two perfected immortals. In that case, if the two races wanted to go to war with the human race, they had to seriously consider whether they could withstand the anger of two perfected immortals. This was the reason why Qin Shujian had sent one of his incarnations to the blood spirit race. He did not really think that a few words could make the Bloodling Huang give up on the Soul Protection tribe. Instead, he directly let the other party know. Emperor Zhao was not the only perfected immortal in the human race. Qin Shujian was also equivalent to a living perfected immortal. This was equivalent to using the strength of the human race to directly pressure the Blood Eldar. As long as the Bloodling Huang did not want to go to war with the human race, he had to swallow this anger. After returning to the eastern continent, Qin Shujian did not immediately return to Baiyun Prefecture. Instead, he went to other prefectures. His first stop was the Yunyang Prefecture. This time, he did not randomly find a true Dominion ordinary realm to bury a large-scale spirit meridian. Instead, he went directly to the prefecture city of the Yunyang Prefecture and buried a divine race spirit meridian. Instantly, a large amount of spirit qi emerged from the spirit meridian. Marquis Yunyang, who had just returned to the Yunyang Prefecture and had not even warmed his seat, was directly alarmed. However, when he came out, Qin Shujian had already left. After leaving the Yunyang Prefecture, Qin Shujian went to other prefectures. This time, he had destroyed the divine race and obtained a total of 5 large-scale spirit meridians from the ancient Buddha clan. He went to 5 prefectures and buried the spirit meridians according to the standard of 1 large-scale spirit meridian per prefecture. When the last spirit meridian was sold, Qin Shujian could feel that the spirit qi of the eastern continent was steadily increasing through the light from providence of the human clan. The light from providence of the human clan was also increasing accordingly. Including the Baiyun Prefecture and the Fallen Moon Prefecture, there are now 7 prefectures with large-scale spirit meridians. When the spirit meridians of the Soul Protector race arrive, the eastern continent will officially have 8 large-scale spirit meridians. In this way, we will not be far away from 13 spirit meridians. However, a helpless look appeared on Qin Shujian's face. However, large-scale spirit meridians were too difficult to obtain. If he wanted to obtain 5 large-scale spirit meridians, he would have to destroy a few mid-level clans or one of the 2 top clans, the Blood Eldar and the Demon Clan. Only then would he have a chance of obtaining all 5 large-scale spirit meridians. However, this way, a great war was bound to happen. The human clan had just gone through a baptism of war and had lost many heavenly beings. Other things aside, 2 of the pitiful elders of the Qinyuan sacred ground had died and 3 were seriously injured. Among the 2 who had died, one was Ji Yuanliang and the other was Shunya. This was something that could not be helped. It was normal for heavenly beings to die in a battle of such a level. Not only that, even the honorary elder who had just broken through to the heavenly being realm had died in battle. It could be said that, in this battle, the number of heavenly beings in the cultivation world had decreased to 5. This showed that, to what extent had the mid-level strength of the human clan declined to? If a war were to break out at this time, the few celestial beings would all be wiped out. He shook his head. Qin Shujian looked at the survivors on the heaven list, then left the place and went to the next prefecture. Thousand Mountains Prefecture. Among the many prefectures, except for Zhongzhou Prefecture, Thousand Mountains Prefecture was probably the place Qin Shujian came to the most. This time, he did not go to the prefectural city. Instead, he found a random area, then took a medium-sized spirit meridian and buried it directly. The spirit meridian was buried in the ground. Rich spiritual energy was born. However, the spiritual energy density was much lower than that of a large-scale spirit meridian. Qin Shujian said, "Is there any way to transform a medium-sized spirit meridian into a large-scale spirit meridian?" There was no one around. The only person he asked was the god-slaying saber. In the sea of consciousness, Godslayer said, "The spirit meridian is the source of spiritual energy. It is where the fortune of heaven and earth is. If you want to breed a powerful spirit meridian, the surrounding spiritual energy must rise at the same time and nourish the spirit meridian itself. Then, after tens of thousands or even hundreds of thousands of years, there is a possibility of transformation. In that case, as long as there is enough spiritual energy, you can cultivate a spirit meridian." "That's right," Godslayer said. "If you want to compare a spirit meridian to a spirit plant, you must have enough nourishment to grow it. However, the nourishment required by a spirit meridian is much higher than that of a spirit plant." Comparing a spirit meridian to a spirit plant. Then I know. Qin Shujian was deep in thought. Then, he looked at the inventory of the heaven list, then took out a few corpses and directly threw them into the spirit meridian. Those corpses were the corpses of the myriad races. After being seized by him, they were already considered as spoils of war and would not be refreshed by heaven and earth. Similarly, these corpses were all almighty experts. Every drop of blood in their bodies contained a large amount of spiritual energy. It could be said that there was nothing more nutritious than the corpses of almighty experts. Soon, Qin Shujian took out another 4 or 5 corpses from the heaven list, as well as a large amount of blood, and poured it into the spirit meridian. Suddenly, a tyrannical and terrifying power erupted. That was the inextinguishable will of the experts. Qin Shujian's divine consciousness spread out. A formation descended and directly covered the spirit meridian, suppressing the inextinguishable will of the experts and the power of the almighty experts. Then, he had already filled up the soil. Godslayer saw Qin Shujian's actions and did not know what to say for a moment. Using the corpses of the experts to nurture the spirit meridian. Such an action, this was the first time he had seen it. But seriously speaking, there was nothing wrong with such an action. After all, every expert had absorbed a large amount of spiritual energy from heaven and earth when they grew up. They had also tempered themselves to a terrifying level. Using them to nurture the spirit meridian was indeed the best choice. After nurturing the spirit meridian, Qin Shujian turned and left. In the remaining mansions, he made a trip to all of them. Then, like a gourd, he buried a medium-sized spirit meridian in each of the mansions. Then, he buried a large number of corpses and flesh of the experts near the spirit meridian. Fortunately, in the battle outside the human territory, Qin Shujian killed hundreds of almighties. Those almighty experts, most of the corpses and flesh fell into his hands. Originally, Qin Shujian planned to refine all of these things when he had the time. Although the almighties were not very useful to him now, it was still good to improve his foundation. But these corpses had other uses now. Qin Shujian simply took them out. After all the spirit meridians were buried, Qin Shujian heaved a sigh of relief. "I buried large spirit meridians in 8 mansions, a medium-sized spirit meridian in 3 mansions, and 4 small spirit meridians in 1 mansion. As for the middle state mansion, there is already a medium-sized spirit meridian." In this way, the 13 mansions of the Great Zhao dynasty have all buried their spirit meridians. Those medium-sized and small spirit meridians have all been watered with the blood of almighty experts. It should not take tens of thousands of years for them to transform. Especially those small spirit meridians, it might only take a few years for them to transform. At this moment, Qin Shujian could clearly see that the luck of the eastern continent's human tribe was shaken. Invisible pillars of light shot into the sky from the 13 mansions of the Great Zhao dynasty. Then, they outlined a huge pattern in the sky. Then, the spiritual energy of the eastern continent rose rapidly. It was different from the past. After the spirit meridians were gathered, the spiritual energy of the eastern continent seemed to have met a certain condition. The overall spiritual energy of the eastern continent rose greatly. It was no longer the same as before. The spiritual energy of this mansion rose, but slowly flowed to other places. Those mansions with only medium-sized and small spirit meridians are still a little lacking. However, with so many experts' corpses buried, it is enough for the time being. Qin Shujian nodded. As the human emperor, he could clearly feel the changes of the entire human tribe. that powerful spiritual energy. It was causing the entire human tribe to transform. According to this increase, it should not be a problem for the human tribe to be born true martial. Rumble. At this moment, the luck of the human tribe trembled slightly. Qin Shujian took out the heaven list and then took a step forward. His body completely disappeared on the spot. In the next second, he had already followed the direction of the vibration of the luck and arrived at a new place. Here, the heaven and earth barrier trembled, and there was chaos rolling behind it. A new area has been born. Qin Shujian's expression was calm. Every time a new area was born, it meant that the heaven and earth were a little closer to the demon abyss. Compared to before, in the past 2 years, the speed at which the human tribe was born had increased by many times. Not to mention anything else, just after the human tribe opened the eastern continent, dozens of new areas had been born so far. However, what was different from the beginning was that there were no demons born in the later areas. But even so, Qin Shujian would not let his guard down. It was best if there were no demons born, but if there were, and he did not immediately stop them, it would be a problem for the celestial being. At this moment, the new area was truly born. Qin Shujian simply stayed here. 3 days later, the barrier between heaven and earth was broken, and a new area was born. 2 days later, the space gradually stabilized. After confirming that there would not be any demons born, Qin Shujian turned around and left. In the Qianyuan realm, Qianyuan Palace, Qin Shujian gathered all the celestial being cultivators for a meeting. This time, not only the human tribe cultivators appeared here, but also cultivators of other races. Greetings, Emperor Qin. Rise. Thank you, Emperor Qin. Only then did everyone stand up and take their seats. On the main seat, Qin Shujian first looked at Holy Fire and said, "How is the matter of the Vermilion Bird tribe now?" Reporting to Emperor Qin, the Vermilion Bird tribe has been evacuated from the Demon tribe. I have temporarily settled the Vermilion Bird tribe near the human tribe's territory. As for the specific matters, I will wait for your orders. Holy Fire said respectfully. Compared to before, her mind was much more relaxed now. After all, no matter what, Holy Fire knew that she was the leader of the Vermilion Bird tribe and could not ignore the entire tribe. Originally, the Vermilion Bird tribe was in the Demon tribe, and she did not dare to easily reveal the fact that she had submitted to the human tribe. Until now, Holy Fire was relieved that the Vermilion Bird tribe had successfully separated from the Demon tribe. Qin Shujian nodded and said, "How many celestial being cultivators are there in the Vermilion Bird tribe now?" Reporting to Emperor Qin, the Vermilion Bird tribe now has a total of 5 transcendent cultivators, 2 saint cultivators, and 1 powerful cultivator, including me, so there are a total of 8 celestial beings. 8 celestial beings. Qin Shujian nodded. In this regard, he lamented the weakness of the human tribe again. A Vermilion Bird tribe that had not reached such a level could squeeze out 8 celestial beings. When the human tribe left the eastern continent, they had only squeezed out about 40 celestial beings. Such a comparison of numbers, it was really too big of a difference. Although the 40 celestial beings of the human tribe at that time were not comparable to the Vermilion Bird tribe in terms of quality, there was not only 1 Vermilion Bird tribe in the Demon tribe. After lamenting for a while, Qin Shujian said, "The Vermilion Bird tribe can open up a place in the human tribe's territory in the southern region as their territory. In addition, send 3 transcendent cultivators and 1 saint cultivator from other tribes to the eastern continent." "Yes, Emperor Qin," Holy Fire replied respectfully. She had no objections to Qin Shujian's suggestion. Then, Qin Shujian looked at Jizhou and Wu Shan and said calmly, "The 2 of you will be the envoys of the human tribe and go to the Thousand Eye clan and the Mountain Breaking clan. Think of a way to persuade the 2 clans to leave the Demon tribe and submit to the human tribe." If Ben Huang remembered correctly, the 2 clans did not produce a perfected immortal. In the future, the 4 continents will be dominated by perfected immortals. Clans without perfected immortals will not be of much use. This time, when the 10,000 clans attacked the human tribe, the Thousand Eye clan and the Mountain Breaking clan also participated. Ben Huang should have destroyed the 2 clans, but you have contributed a lot to the human tribe. Ben Huang will give the two clans another chance. Hearing this, Jizhou and Wu Shan's hearts sank. Then, the two of them cupped their hands and said, "We understand." They all knew. Qin Shujian was not joking. With the strength of this Emperor Qin, if he really wanted to attack the Thousand Eye clan and the Mountain Breaking clan, the demon tribe would not be able to stop him. The two clans were not weak, but it also depended on who they were dealing with. In front of the human tribe, the two clans could be destroyed with a wave of the hand. After all, if the Emperor Qin could destroy the God clan alone, it would not take much effort to destroy the Thousand Eye clan and the Mountain Breaking clan. After giving a simple warning to Jizhou and Wu Shan, Qin Shujian did not say anything more about this matter. With the current strength of the human tribe, they did not need too many allies. Or rather, not many clans were qualified to be allies of the human tribe. Therefore, what the human tribe needed now was vassals. Just like the demon tribe, how many clans could truly ally with the demon tribe? For the demon tribe, most of them were vassals. Since the human tribe was a top clan, they could not lack vassals from other clans. Until now, there were only two clans that could be considered vassal clans. One was the Black Rock Condor clan, and the other was the Soul Protector clan. As for the Nine-Headed Dog clan, they were still considered allies of the human tribe. Qin Shujian was not joking about what Jizhou and Wu Shan said. Since the two clans dared to participate in the war against the human tribe, they had to pay the corresponding price. Even if the human tribe used this as an excuse to attack, the other forces had nothing to say. Of course, if they really did that, the demon tribe would most likely not be able to sit still. However, whether the demon tribe could sit still or not was another matter. Qin Shujian also had to do enough things on the surface. Besides, the human tribe was not the same as before. It was not as difficult to make the other clans submit as before. The others. At this moment, they were all silent, waiting for Qin Shujian to say what he was going to say next. You should all be able to sense that the spirit qi in the eastern continent is gradually increasing. It will not be long before the prosperity of the ancient times is restored. At that time, the human tribe will be able to give birth to true martial artists. In this way, experts will definitely be born like bamboo shoots after the rain. However, at the same time, the substantial increase in spirit qi will speed up the growth of the earth regions. Although there are no demons born in the earth regions for now, there might be some accidents. Qin Shujian paused for a moment at this point. When he saw the slight change in everyone's expression, he continued. Only the 5 prefectures, Beiyun, Qianshan, Luoyue, Nanfeng, and Shichong can give birth to earth regions. Therefore, in order to prevent demons from taking advantage of the situation, Ben Huang has decided to send experts to the 5 prefectures to take charge. Take charge of the 5 prefectures? When they heard the news, everyone's face was filled with astonishment. Yin Banqing coughed softly and said in a weak voice, "Emperor Qin, do you mean to send all the heavenly beings in the sacred land to the 5 prefectures to take charge? If that's the case, our control over the human tribe's territory will be much weaker. Now that the war has just ended, the human tribe has perfected immortals taking charge. There won't be any problems in the short term. Right now, the most important thing is to ensure the safety of the eastern continent. You have to know that this is the foundation of the human tribe." Qin Shujian shook his head and said, "Right now, the other clans would not dare to attack the human tribe even if they were given extra courage. Not to mention that there were still the 4 city lords in the human tribe's territory. Even if there was no one left, no other clans would set foot there." Yin Banqing's concerns were dispelled. Qin Shujian said, "Eldarine, Holy Fire, the 2 of you will be in charge of Beiyun Mansion. If there are any new areas, go and check it out immediately. If there are any powerful demons, inform the Holy Land immediately." "Yes, sir." Yin Banqing and Holy Fire cupped their hands and accepted the order. "Elder Qin, Jizhou, you 2 take charge of Southwind Mansion." "Yes." "Elder Feng, Wu Shan, the 2 of you will guard Fallen Moon Manor." "Yes, sir." "Elder Chui, Elder Xia, the 2 of you will oversee the Thousand Mountains Prefecture." Qin Shujian looked at Chui Huai and Xia Kun. Both of them were at the first level of the Sky Human Realm. They were considered the weakest amongst the Sky Human Realm cultivators. But inside Thousand Mountains Prefecture, Qin Shujian had sent the two of them to the Thousand Mountains Prefecture because of Gu Chongqing, an almighty expert, as well. There were problems that could not be solved. If Marquis Qianshan couldn't solve the problem, he would send a message back to the Holy Land. Finally, Qin Shujian looked at Golden Rock King and said, "Golden Rock King, King of Emerald Billows, you and the other celestial beings of the Vermilion Bird tribe will guard West Lofty Prefecture together. You must make sure that no evil spirit comes out of the new area." Hearing this, Golden Rock King and King of Azure Waves bowed their heads and replied, "We will obey the Qin Emperor's order." Qin Shujian nodded slightly. His gaze fell on a certain person with two horns, who was sitting drowsily in a chair. In the end, he did not say anything, because he was really worried about Nyodali. With how the other party was acting, it was better for him to stay put. At this point, except for Qi Tiansheng, who was wandering outside and constantly looking for traces of Sihan Hai, almost all the sky humans of the Qinyuan sacred ground had been sent out. Only Nyodali and Mu Yang had nothing to do. The former was unreliable, so Qin Shujian did not bother to use him. As for the latter, Mu Yang's role was to stabilize the Qinyuan sacred ground, so he could not be used lightly. Now with the increase of the spirit veins and the sky humans and Eldar taking root, the Qinyuan realm was a little stronger than it was at the beginning. Subsequently, Qin Shujian looked at the weak elders, took out a hollow pill, and then divided it into 3 parts in the air, falling in front of Yin Bansheng, Fang Xinglan, and Qin Yuanbai. This pill is a 10th level pill. Although it is incomplete, it is enough to heal your injuries. A 10th level pill? Apart from Holy Fire, everyone else had a blank look on their faces. However, Qin Shujian did not explain too much, so Yin Bansheng and the others had to suppress the doubts in their hearts. Looking at the terrible energy contained in the pill in front of them, they were secretly surprised, and then solemnly put away the pill. "Thank you for the pill, Qin Emperor." The 3 of them looked respectful. At this time, Cui Huai spoke again. "There is something that I forgot to tell you, Qin Emperor." "What is it?" "Yesterday, someone from the Baiyun Marquis Mansion came, hoping to see Qin Emperor. But at that time, Qin Emperor had not returned, so I asked him to wait in Liangshan City for the time being." "Someone from the Baiyun Marquis Mansion." Qin Shujian's expression changed, and then he said, "Let him come to see Bin Huang now?" "Yes." Cui Huai nodded, then took out the communication jade talisman and sent the message. Looking at the people in front of him, Qin Shujian waved his hand tiredly. "You can all go now. We will take our leave." Everyone got up and left. Soon, Qin Shujian was the only one left in Qinyuan Hall. However, he did not leave, because Qin Shujian was waiting for the people from the Baiyun Marquis Mansion. Although he had not seen them yet, he already had some guesses. This time, the people from the Baiyun Marquis Mansion came. In all likelihood, it had something to do with the Baiyun Marquis. Although the Baiyun Marquis has left a backup plan, it is impossible to hide it from a genuine immortal without sacrificing anything. Qin Shujian thought to himself. He knew the plan of the Baiyun Marquis, but he did not know the specific plan. Even, what kind of backup plan did the Baiyun Marquis leave? Qin Shujian knew nothing about it. But judging from the situation of the people from the Baiyun Marquis Mansion, there should be something wrong with the backup plan left by the Baiyun Marquis, or else they would not send people over at this time. Not long after, a person walked in from outside, looked at Qin Shujian on the main seat, and immediately bowed. Su Mingying of the Baiyun Marquis Mansion greets Qin Emperor. "Master Su, you don't have to be so polite. Please sit down." "Thank you, Qin Emperor." Su Mingying sat down. He raised his head and looked at Qin Shujian, his eyes full of awe. The person in front of him was still the person he used to know, but he was completely different from the person he used to know, because the person in front of him used to be the master of a sect, a cultivator in the spiritual martial realm, but now he was the human emperor, and his strength was comparable to a genuine immortal. Although it had only been a few short years, his status had already undergone earth-shattering changes. Su Mingying did not dare to be rude in front of him. For this, Qin Shujian did not say anything, but asked directly, Master Su, did you come here on the order of the Bayun Marquis? This humble one has come here for the Marquis's matter, not because of the Marquis's orders. Oh, tell me in detail. Qin Shujian was slightly surprised. Then, Su Mingyang told him everything. When he finished, he found that Qin Shujian had fallen into deep thought. The Bayun Marquis spirit god was seriously injured. Qin Shujian had expected this, but he was still surprised that the other party had done so much. After a while, Qin Shujian woke up from his thoughts, looked at Su Mingyang and said, Marquis Bayun was injured for the sake of our human tribe. Ben Huang has no reason to ignore this matter. You send Ben Huang's order back and ask Xiao Hong to escort Marquis Bayun here. Let Ben Huang take a look at him personally. Thank you, Qin Emperor. Su Mingyang was overjoyed. He did not dare to waste time. After getting Qin Shujian's reply, he immediately got up and left. After Su Mingyang left, Qin Shujian rubbed his chin and said to himself, the divine spirit is damaged. It seems that there is a 3-yuan disaster crossing pill in the Celestial Blue Alchemy book that can repair the divine spirit, but it is a little troublesome to refine. He did not think much about it. He had to see it first. Chapter 659. 3-yuan Crossing Disaster Pill. It was a pill formula that appeared after the third stage of the Celestial Blue Alchemy tome was deduced. Until now, Qin Shujian was also a little confused. These pill formulas were in the Celestial Blue Alchemy tome itself, and then through the improvement of the Source of Life, it was released bit by bit. Still, these pill formulas were simply deduced by the Source of Life. However, to be honest, Qin Shujian was more inclined to the latter. Because the Celestial Blue Alchemy tome was just the inheritance of a small sect in the spirit domain. No matter how mysterious it was impossible to reach this level. Or else, the Pill Cauldron sect would not be a sect in the spirit domain, but would have long become the #1 sect in the human clan. So, in Qin Shujian's view, the subsequent pill formulas should be deduced by the Source of Life. If heaven and earth were created by an expert, then what about the system? The system in this world should be equivalent to the existence of the heavenly Tao, but I am somewhat different. He sighed in his heart. Sometimes, Qin Shujian also couldn't help but want to explore the origin of the system. It was just that, although his current strength was already considered to be one of the top in the 4 great continents, he was still far from being qualified to explore the so-called truth. To this, Qin Shujian even felt that he was a chess piece in the chessboard of heaven and earth. And outside of heaven and earth, in a place that no one else could see, there were 2 big hands playing chess. However, he didn't know the purpose of the other party's chess game. Very soon, Qin Shujian suppressed this thought. There's no need to think about this now, it's just looking for trouble. When I can't improve any more in the future, everything will surface. My purpose is to live forever, and the rest has nothing to do with me. Even if someone is really playing chess, with my current strength compared to that mysterious existence, how can I have the qualifications to jump out of the chessboard? Rather than looking for trouble, it's better to take one step at a time. Qin Shujian felt relieved. He found that the human clan was not a threat in the short term, which was not a good thing. When he was free, he liked to think nonsense. In the following period of time, Qin Shujian stayed in the Qian Yuan realm and seriously studied the 3 elements tribulation transcendence pill. In order to concoct such a divine pill, this was not an easy task. The most important reason was that the materials required were too precious. Qin Shujian also took advantage of this time to search the treasury, but in the end, he was unable to find the complete materials. Refining the 3 origin disaster crossing pill requires origin heavy water, origin aurora light, and origin darkbone. These 3 are the main ingredients to refine the 3 origin disaster crossing pill. The first yuan heavy water is simple. You only need to take billions of seawater and condense it into 1 to refine the first yuan heavy water. As for the first yuan aurora, it is a treasure nurtured naturally by heaven and earth. The birth of the heaven and earth aurora was too ingenious. It was not easy to capture it. As for the 1 origin darkbone, it's also a troublesome matter. Qin Shujian felt a headache coming on. In his opinion, The first essence heavy water was not a problem. However, the remaining two items were the real problem. Just as Qin Shujian was worrying about the 3 origin disaster crossing pill, Su Yuanming walked in from outside. Emperor Qin, what's the matter? The people of the Baiyun Marquis Mansion are here. Su Yuanming said softly. The Baiyun Marquis Mansion. Qin Shujian recovered from his thoughts and looked at the person in front of him, saying, "Let them come in." Okay. Su Yuanming nodded. Outside the Qin Yuan realm, there was an army following. In the middle of the army, there was a sedan. At this moment, the Qin Yuan realm opened. Su Yuanming walked out from inside and looked at Xiao Hong, who was at the front. He cupped his hands and said, "Housekeeper Xiao, Emperor Qin is interested. Please enter the sacred land for a chat." Okay. Xiao Hong nodded, then looked at the general beside him and ordered, "You wait here." This general obeys. The general cupped his hands and accepted the order. Subsequently, with Xiao Hong as the leader, Li Guang'an and the other 3 carried the sedan and directly flew into the Qin Yuan realm. Except for Su Mingyang. It was the first time for the others to enter the Qin Yuan realm. As soon as they entered, then, an abundant amount of spiritual energy rushed towards him. I have long heard that the Qin Yuan sacred ground is the place with the most abundant spirit qi in the human clan. Now that I see it, the rumors are true. Xiao Hong could not help but exclaim. Such rich spirit qi. It was not something the Baiyun Marquis Mansion could compare to, not to mention the Qin Yuan sacred ground. When they set foot in the Liang Mountain spirit domain, the spirit qi there was much stronger than in Zongyang City. However, Xiao Hong also knew. The only large spirit meridian in the Baiyun Marquis was in the Liang Mountain spirit domain. According to his estimation, with the large spirit meridian, the Liang Mountain spirit domain would soon be promoted to a large domain. The promotion of the true Dominion spirit domain was different from the promotion of a large domain. When the true Dominion spirit domain was promoted, as long as an expert could break the shackles, the domain could be promoted directly. However, when the spirit domain was promoted to a large domain, this could not be done. This was because although there were shackles in the spirit domain, in fact, the shackles were very weak. There was not much difference between having them and not having them. Therefore, breaking the shackles of the spirit domain would not cause much change. If the spirit domain wanted to be promoted to a large domain, the only possibility was that there was sufficient spirit qi to nourish the spirit domain, causing the shackles here to disappear bit by bit. When they stepped into the Liang Mountain spirit domain, Xiao Hong sensed that the shackles here were so weak that they were almost non-existent. In other words, it would not take long for the Liang Mountain spirit domain to be promoted to a large domain. Su Yuanming smiled and said, "The Qinyuan realm was originally a small world left behind by Senior Xia Yi. Then, Emperor Qin collected a few medium-sized spirit meridians from other places and placed them here. The spirit qi has increased a lot. Now, the spirit qi in the eastern continent is continuously increasing. It is all thanks to Emperor Qin that we have established a foundation for the human race. This old man is really impressed," Xiao Hong said with a smile. He wasn't trying to flatter him by saying this. The spirit qi in the eastern continent was continuously increasing. This was a fact that no one could deny. The increase in spirit qi. Naturally, it meant that the strength of the cultivators was increasing faster and faster. In the long run, the strength of the human race would definitely increase steadily. Subsequently, Xiao Hong looked at Su Yuanming and said, "I heard that there are already true martial babies in the Liang Mountain spirit domain. I wonder if it is true?" Yes. Su Yuanming nodded and smiled faintly. In ancient times, the spirit qi was very dense. All living beings were born true martial. There was no such thing as the basic martial realm in the world, let alone the so-called mortals. In ancient times, the true martial realm was the starting point for everyone. However, with the destruction of the ancient times, the spirit qi gradually dissipated, causing the starting point of the human race to become lower and lower. Now, the Liang Mountain spirit domain has a large-scale spirit meridian. The people here have already reached the true martial stage. Just like what Emperor Qin said, it will not be long before all the human race is born true martial. the benefits of the present generation and the contributions of the future generations? Xiao Hong sighed in admiration. If they were born true martial, the strength of the human race would definitely increase to a rather terrifying level. Behind him, Li Guang'an and the others were also shocked. The human race was born true martial. This was, without a doubt, something that made everyone feel aghast. One had to know, from a mortal to a basic martial, and then to a true martial. This process was enough for some people to waste their entire lives and not be able to complete it. This was especially true in the ordinary realm. Many cultivators had spent 100 years and were still stuck in the basic martial arts realm. In the true dominion, those who could reach the true martial realm were experts with high status and power. If the human race was born true martial, the overall strength of the human race would be too terrifying. Thinking of this, Su Mingyang could not help but ask, if everyone is born true martial, won't they also be shackled in the ordinary realm? Brother Su, do you think that the ordinary realm will still exist? Su Yuaming asked. Hearing this, Su Mingyang fell silent. That's right. If it really reached that level, would the ordinary realm still exist? This question, he did not know. Neither did the others. As they chatted, they had already arrived at Sect Yuan's main meridian. Su Yuaming led Xiaohong and the others directly to the courtyard. Not long after, they had already arrived. Greetings, Emperor Qin. Including Xiaohong, the first thing they did when they saw Qin Shujian was to bow and greet him. At the same time, the palanquin was also gently placed on the ground. No need for formalities. Qin Shujian waved his hand and then slowly walked to the front of the palanquin. The curtain was lifted, revealing the scene inside. Immediately, vital essence emerged in his hand, and then he wrapped the unconscious Marquis Baiyun, opened the door behind him, and temporarily placed him on the bed. Xiaohong and the others also followed Qin Shujian in. Emperor Qin, His Majesty once said that you can solve the Marquis's problem. Is it true? Xiaohong asked tentatively, with hope in his words. Ben Huang, let's see. After Qin Shujian finished speaking, his divine thought fell on Marquis Baiyun. Seeing this, Xiaohong and the others did not dare to disturb him. The spiritual deity is actually so weak. There is no problem with his physical body. At his level, a drop of essence blood is enough to condense a physical body, but compared to the past, this physical body is probably in the divine martial arts realm. Not long after, Qin Shujian found out about Marquis Baiyun's situation. For this, he could not help but be shocked. It could be said that Marquis Baiyun was not dead, but he was almost dead. Although the spiritual deity was not completely destroyed, only a trace of it existed in the physical body. As for the physical body, it had fallen from the limit of the celestial being realm to the current divine martial arts realm. It could be said that, even if Marquis Baiyun's spiritual deity recovered, this top expert would become a cultivator in the divine martial arts realm. Seeing this, Qin Shujian also had a trace of respect for Marquis Baiyun. In order to let Emperor Zhao attain the Tao, he had done so much and was so ruthless. Even he might not be able to do such a thing. After a while, Qin Shujian withdrew his divine thought from Marquis Baiyun and said slowly, there is only a trace of the spiritual deity left in Marquis Baiyun's physical body, but this spiritual deity is very strong. Even if it is left alone, as long as there is enough spiritual qi, it can slowly repair itself. It's just that this self-repair process will take a long time. Even in the Qin Yuan realm, it will take at least decades. Hearing this, Xiaohong and the others changed their expressions greatly. Recuperating for decades. This was not a trivial matter. Emperor Qin, don't worry. Since Emperor Zhao asked you to bring him here, Ben Huang naturally has a way to solve it. You don't have to worry about this matter. Go back for the time being. Qin Shujian waved his hand and interrupted Xiaohong. Then, he threw a few glances at Marquis Baiyun before turning to Xiaohong and saying, I'll be able to help Marquis Baiyun recover in a few months at the earliest and 2 to 3 years at the slowest. During this period of time, I'll leave him here. As for the matters in Baiyun Mansion, don't worry too much. As long as Ben Huang is here, Baiyun Mansion will not be in chaos. His last sentence, He said it based on the current situation in Baiyun Mansion. Hearing this, Xiao Hong immediately let out a sigh of relief. Then he bowed and saluted. "Thank you, Emperor Qin. Well, go ahead." Qin Shujian directly waved his hand to drive them away. Seeing this, Xiao Hong and the others did not say anything. They obediently left under the lead of Su Yuanming. In the courtyard room, only Qin Shujian and the sleeping Marquis Baiyun were left. The spiritual deity is incomplete. The three elements crossing disaster pill can indeed repair it, but the problem is that there are not enough materials. This is a troublesome matter. Qin Shujian looked at Marquis Baiyun with his hands behind his back. He looked a little helpless. In the sea of consciousness, Godslayer said lightly, "Have you forgotten the extraterrestrial devil's crystal in your hand?" Huh. Qin Shujian was stunned. Extraterrestrial devil's crystal? If it weren't for Godslayer's reminder, he really would have forgotten about it. "Senior, do you mean that the crystal can cure Marquis Baiyun?" "That's for sure. The crystal's function is to nurture the spiritual deity. His spiritual deity is incomplete, so it naturally has a use," Godslayer said. Hearing this, Qin Shujian took out 3 crystals from the heaven list. This thing, he originally wanted to keep it and see if there was a chance to create a few celestial beings. But too many things had happened recently. Qin Shujian didn't pay much attention to these things. Now the Godslayer spoke. He finally came to his senses. Then, Qin Shujian used his vital essence to break down and wrap the crystal and directly injected it into Marquis Baiyun's body. Suddenly, a weak force grew at a speed visible to the naked eye. The spiritual energy in the Qin Yuan realm also gathered here. Qin Shujian stood aside, quietly watching the development of the situation. In his perception, after absorbing the power of the crystal, Marquis Baiyun's spiritual deity was recovering at a rapid speed. Such an effect, it was more useful than refining the 3 elements crossing disaster pill. The vibration of the spiritual energy. Naturally, it attracted the attention of others. However, this was the main branch of the Yuan sect and also where Qin Shujian lived. No matter what happened, no one dared to approach this place easily. About half a day passed. The spiritual energy gradually dissipated. Marquis Baiyun's tightly closed eyes slowly opened. At first, there was a blank look in his eyes, but soon it became clear. Then, he sat up from the bed, then turned his head to look at Qin Shujian. He got up and cupped his hands. "Thank you for your help, Emperor Qin. Otherwise, I'm afraid it would take a long time for me to recover." "It's not a big deal. You don't have to thank me, but..." Qin Shujian looked at Marquis Baiyun in front of him and said with a frown, "Marquis Baiyun's spiritual deity is weak now. It has barely recovered to the divine martial arts realm. As for your physical body, it is also at the divine martial arts realm. Your strength has dropped a lot." "Your strength has dropped. Just cultivate again. It's not a problem." Marquis Baiyun smiled. He didn't care too much about this matter. If his strength dropped, so be it. At most, he could cultivate again. Marquis Baiyun was open-minded. Qin Shujian also nodded and said with a chuckle, "That's right. Marquis Baiyun, you have reached the limit of the celestial being realm. It's not difficult for you to go back." Speaking of which, Bin Huang is a little impressed. You don't want to follow the rules of the human emperor. You should know that if you succeed in the end, you will definitely become a perfected immortal. Just like how Emperor Qin is unwilling to follow the path of Senior Xia Yi. Although the rules of the human emperor are powerful, they are only rules left behind by the ancient human emperor. They are not the path that I want to follow. So, I don't mind giving them up. It's totally worth it to exchange a human emperor's rule for a perfected immortal of the human clan. Marquis Baiyun shook his head and said lightly, "The rules of the human emperor were originally his own rules. Others had opportunities, and so did he. And one of Marquis Baiyun's opportunities was the law of the human emperor. Originally, he also had the idea of using the rules of the human emperor to become an immortal, but he quickly dismissed it. Therefore, the rules of the human emperor had always been in Marquis Baiyun's hands. It was also because of this. Marquis Baiyun had the opportunity to tamper with the rules and then blow up the 12 perfected immortals. Or else, how could it be easy to blow up a rule? During this period of time, Marquis Bayun can recuperate here in Binhuang. The territory of the Qian Yuan realm is incomparable to other places. It will be faster to recuperate here. Qin Shujian said. Marquis Bayun did not refuse. He nodded and said, "Thank you, Emperor Qin." With the help of the crystal stones, Marquis Bayun recovered faster than Qin Shujian expected. However, it was not suitable for Marquis Bayun, who was in the god martial arts realm, to go out now. After settling him in the Qian Yuan realm, Qin Shujian left the East Continent and went to the territory of the human clan. In the 4 cities, he went to the East City the most often, so this time, he went to the East City as well. In the City Lord's mansion, Qin Shujian was sitting on the main seat. After Dan Hao broke through to the mighty figure realm, he was still here. At this time, he was with Hua Zhan, the City Lord of the East City. They were both here to accompany Qin Shujian and talk to him. How is the takeover of the millions of miles of land given up by the Demon Clan in the Western Continent? The territory of the Demon Clan is located in the middle of the Western Continent. Although they have given up millions of miles of land, if we want to take it over, there is no way to connect it with the current territory of the human clan. So until now, we haven't really sent anyone over. Hua Zhan said truthfully. The Demon Clan had given up millions of miles of land, but in fact, it was easy to take over. In this regard, he had sent a message back to the imperial court, but he had not received a reply for the time being. Qin Shujian pondered for a moment and said, "Since we can't connect it, let's take the current position of the human clan's territory in the Western Continent as the starting point and directly push across millions of miles. Million miles of land is not small, and there are many clans and forces in it." Hua Zhan looked a little serious. If he wanted to do so, those clans and forces would be troublesome. Qin Shujian said, "Are there any perfected immortals in these clans and forces?" "No, they are all ordinary clans and forces. If they are ordinary clans and forces, there is no need to worry so much. Just push across and occupy the million miles of land. If they want to rely on the human clan, they can stay and become our vassals. If they don't want to, they can go to the million miles of land that the Demon Clan has given up and set up camp there." "Qin Emperor, if we do this, I'm afraid it will cause some hostility from other forces," Hua Zhan said hesitantly. This was his main concern. Hearing that, before Qin Shujian said anything, Dan Hao had already said with a sneer, "Hostility? City Lord, have you forgotten that the human clan is not afraid of the hostility of other clans? Even if we don't do anything, do you think they won't want to destroy the human clan? Now the human clan is still intact, not because the other clans are friendly to us, but because we are strong enough." General Dan is right. The human clan doesn't need to worry too much. We can just push across. In addition, ask the Black Emperor, the Dog Emperor, and the Earth Emperor to come to the Eastern City. Binhuang has something to see them, Qin Shujian said. Hua Zhan nodded. "I'll do it right away." The human clan was really qualified to make decisions. It was the Qin Emperor in front of him and the Zhao Emperor who had become an immortal. Therefore, Qin Shujian had made the decision. Hua Zhan naturally had nothing to say. As Hua Zhan left, now the situation of the earthly dragons was also a little tense. Because of the threat of the human clan, the Earth Emperor had to follow the human clan army to attack the Demon Clan. But after the battle, the problem came out. The Black Stone Condor clan was a vassal of the human clan. The Nine-Headed Dog clan was also an ally of the human clan. Looking at the earthly dragons again, to be honest, except for a little deal with Qin Shujian, they had nothing to do with the human clan. In this way, the Earth Emperor was under a little more pressure. If I had known this, I would have agreed to ally with the human clan. Then it wouldn't have become like this. In the main hall, the Earth Emperor felt a little headache. He also didn't expect that the human clan could make a comeback at this time. They directly went from being on the verge of extinction to becoming the strongest force in the 4 continents. To be able to have such a transformation, it was all because of the success of the Zhao Emperor and the absolute strength of Qin Shujian. The Earth Emperor had to admit, now the 4 continents had entered the era of true immortals. Although the Nirvana realm was still strong, they had lost the qualification to suppress a clan. Now the 2 clans are on the side of the human clan. The alliance of the three clans is broken. Although the demon clan hasn't done anything now, we can't guarantee when they will attack us. The demon emperor is already a true immortal. I have no way to fight against him. The earthly sovereign heaved a heavy sigh. Now he was worried all the time about when the army of the demon clan would come. Although the secret realm was stable, in front of a true immortal, it might not be stable. Therefore, the Earth Emperor was a little flustered now. But the problem was, although he felt that he was only one step away from becoming a true immortal, he couldn't take this step. How could it be so easy to achieve Tao? Below, an elder cupped his hands and said, "Your Majesty, we have completely offended the demon race. Now, the only ones who can fight against the demon race are the human race. We might as well form an alliance with the human race. Anyway, the last time the human clan attacked the demon clan, our clan also contributed a lot. I believe the human clan will not refuse." Ben Huang naturally knows. The Earth Emperor replied helplessly. Of course, he knew that forming an alliance with the human clan could solve the current crisis. But the problem was, not long after he rejected Qin Shujian, he came to him eagerly. No matter what, he was the emperor of a clan and also the kind of person who cared about face. Such a shameful thing. The Earth Emperor felt that he still had to think about it carefully. Is there any movement from the demon clan now? There is no news for the time being. The demon clan also suffered a lot in this battle. They should need time to recover. An elder said in a deep voice. The Earth Emperor nodded slightly. It was similar to what he had expected. Not long after, another elder came in, bowed and said, "My emperor, there is a human envoy outside asking for an audience. Invite him in." The Earth Emperor's heart beat violently, and then he hurriedly said, "The human clan sent someone over at this time." Instinctively, he had a premonition that things had taken a turn for the better. If the human clan sent someone to form an alliance, should Ben Huang immediately agree? Or say a euphemistic refusal? Don't seem too anxious. The Earth Emperor was already thinking about how to form an alliance with the human clan in a more dignified way. East City, City Lord's Mansion. The three emperors took their seats. Qin Shujian said with a faint smile, "Ben Huang was dealing with the human clan's affairs in front and didn't have the chance to meet you for the time being. This time, I finally have time, and it's just the right time to solve the matter." Ben Huang naturally understands that the Qin Emperor is busy every day. The Dog Emperor said with a smile. As for the Black Emperor and the Earth Emperor, they also replied politely. Qin Shujian said, "In the war against the Demon Clan, in addition to the Human Clan, the three clans contributed a lot. Although this war did not destroy the Demon Clan, it also occupied 1,000,000 miles of the Demon Clan's territory. Ben Huang is not a stingy person. If there is merit, there will be reward, and if there is a mistake, there will be punishment. The 1,000,000 miles of territory is the spoils of war of the human clan, but the three clans also contributed greatly." While talking, he looked at the Dog Emperor and the others and continued. "So Ben Huang has decided, of the 1,000,000 miles of territory, the human clan will only occupy 400,000 miles, and the remaining 600,000 miles will be divided equally among the three clans. The human clan will not interfere with all the resources in the territory, and you can do whatever you want." Buzz, as soon as these words came out, the expressions of the three changed. If the 600,000 miles of territory were divided equally, then the human clan could get 200,000 miles of territory. This was not just a matter of the size of the territory. In the 200,000 miles of territory, the resources contained were the most important things, not to mention anything else. The three clans were second only to the Demon Clan in the Western Province, but the territory they occupied was only 300,000 to 400,000 miles. Now there was an additional 200,000 miles of territory. That was equivalent to almost half of the resources. So after a short moment of shock, the Dog Emperor and the others were overjoyed. "Thank you, Emperor Qin," they all thought. This time, they were just free labor for the human clan, and did not think that they would be able to gain benefits. Looking at the expressions of the few people, Qin Shujian's heart was calm. In this battle, the human clan had lost a lot, and the three clans had also lost a lot. Ordinary diviners and powerful experts. Many of them had died. This way, if the human clan did not give them any benefits, even if they did not say anything, they would have some thoughts in their hearts. Furthermore, if the human clan was stingy, it would not be good if word got out. On the contrary, if they gave enough benefits, it would also let the other forces understand that there was meat and soup to eat by the side of the human clan. Other than this reason, there was also another reason. That was, the human clan had gone through several battles, and too many experts had died. If the territory they occupied was too large, they would not have the ability to manage it. So, this was also the reason why Qin Shujian would take out 600,000 miles of territory and divide it among the three clans. After talking about this matter, he looked at the Emperor of Earth and said calmly, "I wonder what the Emperor of Earth plans to do now." Hearing this, the Emperor of Earth secretly said, "As expected." Then he pretended to ponder and said, "What does the Emperor of Earth mean?" The Emperor of Earth has already offended the Demon Clan by helping the Human Clan this time. I hope the Emperor of Earth will be careful about this matter. After all, although our two clans are not allies, Ben Huang does not want the dragons of the earth to be destroyed by the Demon Clan one day. The 200,000 miles of territory can be regarded as Ben Huang's goodwill. I hope the Emperor of Earth can use this to increase your strength. As for the alliance, Ben Huang, the Emperor of Earth was about to say something, but he was directly stuck halfway. He looked at Qin Shujian with eyes full of astonishment. This was what he expected. It was a little different. The Emperor of Earth originally thought that the human clan wanted to form an alliance with him, but looking at the current situation, it did not seem to be the case. So, the words that he wanted to say were also directly stuck. Qin Shujian said, "Well, this matter is over. Ben Huang will not keep you." He had already directly ordered them to leave. As soon as he finished, the Black Emperor got up and said, "Ben Huang will take his leave first. Ben Huang will also take his leave first." The Dog Emperor on the side also got up, cupped his hands and left directly. Only the earthly sovereign was sitting there stiffly. For a moment, he didn't know whether to leave or stay. "Emperor of Earth, what else do you want?" Qin Shujian looked at him strangely and asked in puzzlement. In this way, the Emperor of Earth was even more embarrassed. However, it was impossible for him to just leave like this. Although the Demon Clan had not taken any action now, it was hard to say when they would. At that time, the dragons of Earth would be in big trouble. Thinking of this, the Emperor of Earth took a deep breath and said, "A few days ago, the Emperor of Qin said about the alliance. After careful consideration, Ben Huang still thinks that the advantages of our alliance outweigh the disadvantages. The matter of the alliance is over, don't mention it." Qin Shujian shook his head and said, "Since the Emperor of Earth has already refused that day, this matter is over. No, Ben Huang refused in the past because I didn't think it through. Now after thinking about it, an alliance with the human clan is also a good thing." The more he said, the more embarrassed the Emperor of Earth looked. "Haha," Qin Shujian replied with two simple words. Then he looked at the embarrassed look of the Emperor of Earth, pondered for a moment, and then spoke again. The Emperor of Earth should understand that the human clan does not need any allies now. Among all the clans in the four great continents, only our clan has two true immortals. Even the top clans such as the Blood Eldar of the Demon Clan do not have the capital to compete with the human clan. Besides, the strength of the Earth Dragons of Earth is good, but that was in the past. Now the four great continents are dominated by true immortals, and the aristocrats have no true immortals, so it is difficult for them to have too much say. So for the time being, it's better not to mention the alliance. Qin Shujian's refusal. It made the Emperor of Earth's heart sink. He did not expect that when he took the initiative to speak, the other party would refuse so straightforwardly. However, Qin Shujian's words suddenly woke him up. That's right. The situation was different now. All the clans were no longer divided into top forces or big clans, but into those with or without true immortals. Forces with true immortals. Only in the four great continents did they have the right to speak. Forces without true immortals had been completely reduced to the bottom. Whether it was a Nirvana realm expert or an emperor in the 10th level of the celestial being realm, they were like ants in front of true immortals. Unless they could reach the half-immortal realm, Maybe they were qualified to fight with true immortals, but that was all. If they wanted to defeat true immortals, unless they were as monstrous as Emperor Qin, or they were both true immortals, only then did the Emperor of Earth realize. From the moment the Emperor of Earth attained the Tao, the Earth Dragons had been reduced to the bottom. Such a change. It made him a little absent-minded. His original confidence in forming an alliance with the human clan had dissipated a lot. Because seriously speaking, there was nothing about the Earth Dragons that could move the human clan. The Emperor of Earth regretted that he refused the alliance with the human clan. But what made him regret even more was that he refused Qin Shujian's original proposal. If I used the rule in the hands of the human clan to attain the Tao, I should have become a true immortal. He realized it was a stupid decision to rely on himself for 100 years and then rely on the rule of the human clan after 100 years. If the Emperor of Earth attained the Tao, without true immortals, how could the Earth Dragons have 100 years? Any true immortal would make a move. He could destroy this race that had been passed down from ancient times. Seeing the Emperor of Earth's face constantly changing, Qin Shujian also spoke at this time, interrupting the other party's regret. If the Emperor of Earth is willing to become a vassal of the human clan, Ben Huang can also protect the Earth Dragons from being attacked by other clans. The Emperor of Earth heard this. His face also turned ugly. He was about to open his mouth to refuse. Emperor of Earth, you don't have to rush to refuse. The Soul Protector race has become a vassal of the human clan. The Earth Dragons are not as strong as the Soul Protector race. I'm afraid it will be difficult for them to win against the Demon Clan alone. And Ben Huang doesn't need the Earth Dragons to be a vassal of the human clan. Ben Huang only needs you to serve the human clan for 100 years. During this period, the human clan will also protect you. After 100 years, Ben Huang will not stop you from leaving or staying. Qin Shujian said lightly. Hearing this sentence, the Emperor of Earth's ugly face also eased a little. He did not receive any news about the Soul Protector race becoming a vassal of the human clan. However, what really moved him was the 100 years mentioned by Qin Shujian. If his race only served the human race for 100 years, it would not be unacceptable. After 100 years, the time of the transaction will be up. If I haven't become an immortal, I can get that rule and then become an immortal. As long as I become an immortal, the Earth Dragons will not have any problem. The Emperor of Earth was weighing the pros and cons. Until now, he still did not know that half of the rule had been used by Qin Shujian. After all, when the other party broke into the Divine Emperor's battlefield, the means he used, only the Emperor of Earth and Qin Shujian knew. After a while, the Emperor of Earth nodded in agreement. Everything will be according to the Emperor of Earth. P.S. I have a fever and am in the hospital for an intravenous drip. The update in the early morning tomorrow may not be on time, so you don't have to wait. I will update after I finish writing. If not, then wait for the day. Chapter 660. The Earth Emperor submitted. It was equivalent to the human race having a third vassal race after the Black Stone Condor race and the Soul Protector race. Except for the Black Emperor, Qin Shujian only asked for 100 years for the other two races. For the others, 100 years was just a blink of an eye. But for the human race, 100 years was enough to determine life and death. On the other side, after receiving Qin Shujian's order, the human race directly headed in the direction of the western state and once again pushed across 1,000,000 miles of territory. Such an approach, naturally, it caused the other races to be dissatisfied. A powerful aura was emitted. An expert looked at the east city that was crossing the sky with a furious expression. Human race, don't go too far. Our race has been rooted here for 1,000,000 years, but now you want to invade our territory. Such an approach may not be too overbearing. As soon as he finished speaking, a heavenly roll covered heaven and earth, causing the void to turn into dust. The emperor that appeared instantly erupted with a powerful force, wanting to send the heavenly roll flying. However, under the collision of the two, all the vital essence was shattered and annihilated. Then, the heavenly roll fell. The ruler screamed in pain and fell from the sky. Although he didn't die, however, His physical body had also exploded, and he was severely injured. Xiang steadily stepped on the air and grabbed the heavenly roll in his hand. He met the angry eyes of the other experts and said indifferently, "This is the order of the Qin Emperor. No one is allowed to disobey it. Otherwise, they will be going against the human race. The Western state is not the territory of the human race. You can see if the demon race will stand up for you." Xiang sneered. The heavenly roll flew out of his hand again, and the person who originally spoke was directly suppressed. At this point, the experts of the various races were all silent. They did not dare to say anything about the tyranny of the human race. There was no other way. The gap between the two sides was too big. With the current strength of the human race, even the demon race did not dare to easily contend with them. Or else, the demon emperor would not give up 1,000,000 miles of territory to the human race. To a certain extent, this was already a side concession, and thus ceding territory as compensation. From this, it could be seen, the strength of the human race had already reached a terrifying level. Not to mention, right now, Xiang was holding the heavenly roll in his hand, the top divine weapon personally forged by the Qin Emperor. Before the heaven list, even if Emperor Qin of the human clan did not make a move, he could easily suppress an emperor of a clan. If he wanted to fight against such a top-notch divine weapon, unless a Nirvana realm powerhouse personally took action, otherwise, it was impossible for a celestial being 10th level to resist. In other words, the heaven list was actually equivalent to a living Nirvana realm expert. Even though true immortals had been born in the 4 great continents, in reality, the Nirvana realm was still a rare powerhouse. After all, there were only a handful of experts who could truly break through to the true immortal realm. Among the 10,000 races of the 4 great continents, there were only about 20 to 30 races with true immortals. From this, it could be seen. This was the power of the Nirvana realm. Therefore, when they saw the heaven leaderboard that was dominating the void, all the powerhouses of the various races chose to retreat. To put it bluntly, they could not afford to offend the heaven list. They couldn't afford to offend the human race. "Look at this," Xiang ordered in a cold voice. "Everyone, listen up. Immediately return this place to the human race's territory. Any alien race who enters without permission will be killed without mercy." "Yes, sir." Below, many human race experts exclaimed excitedly. Since when? The human race could already force the 10,000 races to retreat so openly. It seemed only after the rise of the Qin Emperor did the human race gradually feel elated. Thinking of this, those humans looked at the heaven leaderboard in the void with reverence. As the human race occupied the territory, a piece of news spread out again. Soon, it spread throughout the 4 great continents and caused a commotion among all the forces. The Great Tribulation of the Demon Abyss. After the Soul Protection Emperor received the news, he fell into a daze. After a long time, only then did he regain his senses from this piece of news. The Great Tribulation of the Demon Abyss. The demon abyss that caused the destruction of the ancient times will descend on this world again in 100 years. It's impossible. Didn't the Emperor of Heaven in the ancient times destroy the demon abyss in one fell swoop? The Soul Protection Emperor was horrified, but it was normal. The 2 words, Devil Abyss, were an earth-shattering event for any cultivator with a bit of knowledge. The first time the demon abyss descended on this world, it was the peak period of the ancient times. But even so, the ancient times were still defeated by the demon abyss. From this, one could see how powerful the demon abyss was. But for many races, the demon abyss had been completely destroyed along with the destruction of the ancient times and the collapse of the heavenly court. So, how could there be a second calamity of the demon abyss? But the news came from the human race. It was hard for others not to believe it. Not to mention, the human race had no need to lie. After all, it was only 100 years. As long as the time was up, all the rumors would be dispelled. Wait, 100 years. The soul-protecting king suddenly thought of something, and his face darkened. In the past, he had no idea about 100 years. He didn't have a clear idea. But after knowing about the calamity of the demon abyss, the Soul Protection Emperor finally understood. The Soul Protection race had served the human race for 100 years. These 100 years would not be a simple 100 years. After a long time, the Soul Protection Emperor took a deep breath and lamented. It's said that the older the ginger, the spicier it is. I didn't expect myself to have a Tao. Forget it. I've already made the oath. How can I go back on my words? He muttered to himself. Then, he shook his head. What's done can't be undone. It was too late to say anything. However, this matter was too important. The Soul Protection Emperor couldn't sit still. He immediately left the Soul Protection race and headed to the human race's territory. On the other side, the Earthly Emperor had just left the human race's territory. When he returned to the Earth Dragons, he had already received the news of the demon abyss. Suddenly, he stood there in a daze. In just a moment, the Earthly Emperor digested all the information about the calamity of the demon abyss. I was wondering why the human race was so kind. They only wanted me to serve them for 100 years. It turns out that they were waiting for me. In the end, the Earthly Emperor let out a long sigh. In the past, the weak race had to be a vassal to the strong race. Even if it wasn't forever, it would at least be thousands of years, or even longer, just like the human race. A mere 100 years was a completely different concept. Originally, the Earthly Emperor didn't understand what was going on with Qin Shujian's approach, but 100 years was just right for him. Naturally, he agreed at once. But now, he came back to his senses. Only then did the Earthly Emperor understand why Qin Shujian only needed 100 years. Immediately, he stood up from the main hall and immediately left the Earth's secret realm. The demon race's secret realm. The two sat opposite each other. Their bodies exuded a powerful aura, causing the surrounding space to tremble slightly. Is the calamity of the demon abyss true? Xueling Huang said faintly. But in his calm voice, there was also a hint of solemnity. Hearing this, the demon emperor was silent for a moment. Finally, he said, Yes, the matter of the demon abyss is true. My race's Zubing Heavenly Demon Temple has already sensed the aura of the demon abyss, and it's not far from this world. The human race said that there would be 100 years, but there might not really be 100 years. Is there a way to avoid it? Xueling Huang thinks that there is anything that can stop the arrival of the demon abyss. The demon emperor asked. Xueling Huang didn't reply. Indeed. The ancient times were so strong, and there was the existence of the Emperor of Heaven and other peerless experts, but there was no way to stop the arrival of the demon abyss. With the current 4 major continents, how could they have the confidence to stop the arrival of the demon abyss? Subsequently, Xueling Huang said, the strength of the 4 major continents is too weak now, and can't be compared to the ancient times. If the calamity of the demon abyss comes, the probability of us being able to resist is not high. No matter how small the probability is, there is no reason for us to tie ourselves up. The demon emperor shook his head, his expression solemn. That's true, but there are too few true immortals in the 4 major continents. In the ancient times, there were 365 true immortals, and there was the existence of the Emperor of Heaven. All the emperors of the various races are supreme experts of the upper 3 true immortal realms. Now there are 20 to 30 true immortals in the 4 major continents. Although we have become true immortals, we can only barely step into the lower 3 true immortal realms. It's a troublesome matter after all. Xueling Huang sighed. Even this expert, who had been in charge of the Xue Eldar for tens of thousands of years, also felt great pressure after learning about the demon abyss. There was no other way. The demon abyss was really too strong. And there was an example from the ancient times. Compared to the present 4 major continents, the disparity was immediately apparent. The demon emperor said in a low voice, "The era of great battle has begun. This is the final counterattack of heaven and earth. Haven't you noticed that it's much easier for us to become immortals than in the legends? And no matter how glorious the ancient times were, was there anything like the present, where there were emperors confirming the Tao at the same time?" Xueling Huang was silent when he heard this. He somewhat agreed with the demon emperor's words. Seeing this, the demon emperor continued, "It took 1,000,000 years to nurture the present era of great battle. The living beings in the era of great battle will usher in a great transformation. This is an opportunity that may not come once in a million years. After the destruction of the ancient times, our two races have declined to the present day. If we want to restore the glory of the ancient times and even surpass the ancient limits, the opportunity is now. The era of great battle. It was a fatal danger, but also a monstrous opportunity. If one can stand out in the era of great battle, one's strength will certainly increase substantially. Shueling Huang slightly closed his eyes and immediately opened them again. Ben Huang has already sensed that the momentum of heaven and earth is surging. Next, whichever race has the advantage will be able to obtain the momentum of heaven and earth. But Demon Emperor must not forget that the strongest forces in the four major continents are no longer the Shui Eldar and the demon race. The rise of the human race corresponds to the era of great battle. In the past, the era of great battle was an opportunity for the human race to rise. Ben Huang is worried that this era of great battle will only be a wedding dress for the human race. For the human race, Shueling Huang had a great fear. The more he understood the origins of the human race, the more he understood how great the potential of this race was. The rise of the human race throughout history was due to the momentum of heaven and earth. In the ancient times, the human race became the only victor in the era of great battle and finally established its supreme status. The Demon Emperor said, Ben Huang originally thought that the human race had been silent for so many years and that their strength was not as great as before. With the alliance of the other races, it would be enough to suppress the human race. Unexpectedly, the human race first produced Emperor Zhao and then Emperor Qin, which made all our plans go down the drain. But now, only Emperor Zhao has succeeded in proving his Tao. Emperor Qin has not done so, and the rest of the human race does not even have a 10th level celestial being. As long as we can guard against the two human emperors, the other human race will not be a concern. The four major continents. They had already entered the era of true immortals. Those who had not entered the true immortal realm had no right to speak. The reason why the Demon Emperor included Qin Shujian was because he knew that his strength had reached the level of a true immortal. In other words, the human race was equivalent to having two true immortals. This was also the most troublesome thing. Emperor Zhao and Emperor Qin are indeed a problem. Now, both our races only have one true immortal. If Ben Huang remembers correctly, the great saints of the demon race who were 10th level celestial being have all died in the hands of the human race. That's right. Hearing Shueling Huang's words, the demon emperor's face darkened. This was the pain of the demon race. Although before he became an immortal, he would deliberately suppress the breakthroughs of the other demon race. However, this did not mean that the demon emperor wanted the demon race to have a shortage of powerhouses. On the contrary, now that he had proven his Tao and become an immortal, he controlled the demon emperor's rules and was much stronger than other true immortals. Under such circumstances, if other true immortals were to be born in the demon race, it would be difficult for them to cause any trouble. In this way, if a powerhouse of the demon race broke through, not only would it not threaten the demon emperor's position, but it would also increase the strength of the demon race. Therefore, the demon emperor did not resist the appearance of true immortals. But the problem now was, in a short time, there was no possibility of a true immortal being born in the demon race. The great saints of the 10th level celestial being were all dead. Not a single demon saint of the 9th level celestial being was left. The strongest demon race mighty figures were only a few of the 8th level celestial being. In the previous battle, to put it bluntly, the demon race had suffered heavy losses. However, what comforted the demon emperor was that the demon race had suffered heavy losses, and the other races had also suffered heavy losses. It was just that compared to the demon race, it was relatively better. Shueling Huang didn't come here today just to expose the scars of the demon race, right? He looked at Shueling Huang with a cold gaze. Hearing this, Shueling Huang smiled slightly and said, "No, Shui Eldar also suffered heavy losses this time. Why would Ben Huang come here to expose the scars of the demon race? This time, Ben Huang only has two purposes for coming here. One is to ask about the great tribulation of the demon abyss, and the other is to form an alliance with the demon race. Alliance? The demon emperor's eyes flickered. Shueling Huang said, "The human race is powerful. Just as the demon emperor said, the era of great battles has begun, and the momentum of heaven and earth has been stimulated. If we can gain an advantage in this situation, we will be able to get the momentum. With the strength of our two races, if we face the human race alone, I'm afraid we don't have the confidence to contend with them. If we want to deal with the human race, only by forming an alliance can we have a good chance of winning in the battle of the general trend. If it's about the human race, we can join forces." The demon emperor thought for a moment and finally nodded. Shueling Huang smiled faintly. The alliance between the two races is enough for the human race. As for other things, we'll talk about it later. That's right. Now that this matter is settled, I shall take my leave. Shueling Huang did not say much nonsense. His body gradually faded and finally disappeared completely in the heavenly demon temple. From beginning to end, Shueling Huang was not here in person. He was just talking to the demon emperor through a wisp of divine thought. To this, the demon emperor didn't look surprised either. After Shueling Huang left, a meaningful smile appeared on his face. The human race, Shue Eldar, the era of great battles is a rare opportunity. In the human race territory, as soon as the Soul Protection Emperor arrived, he saw an expert coming to welcome him. "I'm Huajian, the Lord of the East City. I'm here on the orders of the Qin Emperor to invite the Soul Protection Emperor to the East City for a chat. The Qin Emperor knows that Bin Huang is coming?" The Soul Protection Emperor looked surprised. Huajian smiled faintly. The Qin Emperor naturally knows. Soon, he took the Soul Protection Emperor to the East City. In the human race territory, they flew in the sky. The Soul Protection Emperor had a complicated expression. "Didn't you say that in the human race territory you can't fly at will? That's equivalent to other people. The Soul Protection Emperor is already part of the human race. Naturally, you're not bound by this rule." "I see." The Soul Protection Emperor replied faintly. He didn't forget that when he first came to the human race territory, he was disgusted by Dan Hao. It seemed that the so-called not being able to fly in the human race territory was just a rule that you guys casually set. His own people, if they wanted to fly, they could fly. If they wanted to walk, they could walk. However, the Soul Protection Emperor was an emperor after all. He wouldn't dwell too much on this matter. After all, there was no need to think too much about the unpleasant past. Not long after, the two entered the East City and headed to the City Lord's mansion. After entering the City Lord's mansion, the Soul Protection Emperor realized that he wasn't the only one. There were a few familiar and unfamiliar faces. "Qin Emperor, the Soul Protection Emperor is here." "Thank you, East City Lord. I don't dare. I'll take my leave." Huajian didn't dare to claim credit. After replying modestly, he left respectfully. Soon, only Qin Shujian and the emperors of the various clans were left in the hall. "Soul Protection Emperor, please take a seat." "Thank you, Qin Emperor." After thanking him, the Soul Protection Emperor sat down on an empty seat. At this moment, the Black Emperor, the Dog Emperor, and the others all looked at the Soul Protection Emperor. They were very curious about this emperor who was the first to prove his Tao and become an immortal. However, after a brief glance, they retracted their gazes. It wasn't their first time seeing the Soul Protection Emperor. However, it was their first time seeing a Soul Protection Emperor who had become an immortal. Compared to Qin Shujian's deep aura, the Soul Protection Emperor in front of them was unexpectedly weak. However, when they thought about the process of him proving his Tao, the Black Emperor and the others felt relieved. The weakest true immortal. It wasn't unreasonable. On the other side, the Soul Protection Emperor also felt the gazes of the Black Emperor and the others. He also felt the meaning behind their gazes. He couldn't help but feel angry. However, he was worried that Qin Shujian was here, so he suppressed his anger. Since everyone is here, Bin Huang won't waste any more time. After the Soul Protection Emperor sat down, Qin Shujian said loudly. Hearing that, the Black Emperor and the others all had solemn expressions, as they turned their gazes back to Qin Shujian. The Soul Protection Emperor couldn't care less about the anger in his heart and shifted his attention. They came this time. Their main purpose was to understand the great tribulation of the demon abyss. Among them, only the Black Emperor was the calmest. This was because he was the first to know about the great tribulation of the demon abyss. Therefore, when the news spread, it didn't cause too much of a commotion. Qin Shujian said, "When the ancient times were destroyed, the Emperor of Heaven shattered heaven and earth with his saber. He didn't destroy the demon abyss, but because the demon abyss was too strong, he had no choice but to shatter heaven and earth to separate it from the demon abyss. After heaven and earth shattered, the 4 great continents were formed. Among them, the South, West, and North continents were considered the original heaven and earth. However, the Eastern continent belonged to the shattered heaven and earth. After heaven and earth shattered, the Eastern continent has been constantly regenerating, trying to recreate the complete heaven and earth of the past. In this way, it will reconnect with the demon abyss sooner or later. The great tribulation of the demon abyss was also caused by this." Qin Shujian briefly told them about the great tribulation of the demon abyss. The other emperors muttered to themselves, "The birth of heaven and earth." This wasn't a secret. Many people knew that heaven and earth could be born. However, not everyone knew about the connection between the birth of heaven and earth and the demon abyss. Moreover, after the ancient times were destroyed, they thought that the demon abyss was destroyed along with the ancient times. Thinking of this, the Dog Emperor sighed, "We always thought that after the ancient times were destroyed, the demon abyss was destroyed along with it. I never thought that the demon abyss was still around." In the ancient war, the demon abyss was also heavily damaged. However, over the years, the demon abyss strength has been gradually recovering, while the strength of our 4 great continents has not recovered much. Qin Shujian said indifferently. He also knew what the Dog Emperor said. After the ancient times were destroyed, heaven and earth shattered, and regions were regenerated. However, in those newly regenerated regions, there were no demons at all. Until nearly 100 or 200,000 years ago, the birth of regions was accompanied by the emergence of demons. The living beings of the Eastern continent only knew that the demon abyss was not destroyed. Hearing this, the Soul Protection Emperor opened his mouth. He had something to say, but he didn't know how to say it. Qin Shujian noticed the Soul Protection Emperor's expression and said calmly, "The Soul Protection Emperor wants to say that since the Eastern continent continues to expand and will eventually overlap with the demon abyss, why not shatter the Eastern continent's heaven and earth again to avoid the Great Tribulation?" "I don't dare." The Soul Protection Emperor lowered his head. Just as Qin Shujian had said, that was exactly what he was thinking. Hearing this, Li Changshu said. The Black Emperor and the others' eyes flickered. Qin Shujian's words reminded them of this matter. However, what he said next shattered their fantasies. It's very simple, because not only can heaven and earth be born, but the demon abyss can also move. The humans have Zubing, and Zubing is the most sensitive to the aura of the demon abyss. They have already sensed that the demon abyss is approaching. This is not only a passive approach, but also an active approach. The ancient Great Tribulation has already made the demon abyss remember the aura of heaven and earth. Therefore, the arrival of the Great Tribulation is unavoidable. Qin Shujian said calmly. He dared to tell others about the Great Tribulation of the demon abyss because of this foundation. If the demon abyss did not move, only if the Eastern continent continued to move closer. Qin Shujian dared to guarantee that the 10,000 races would definitely join forces and wipe out the humans. Then, they would completely shatter the Eastern continent and extinguish the hope of the demon abyss landing on heaven and earth. However, it was different now. The demon abyss would move closer on its own. Even if the Eastern continent was shattered, it would only delay it slightly. The Great Tribulation. It would come one day. The Soul Protection Emperor's expression was frighteningly ugly. No one would have a good expression for such an unstoppable Great Tribulation. He was not the only one. The Dog Emperor and Earth Emperor's expressions were also extremely ugly. On the other hand, the Black Emperor. He seemed to have gradually gotten used to this, but he did not show too much abnormality. After a while, the dog emperor sighed. How difficult is it to resist the great tribulation of the demon abyss? Even the ancient great tribulation could not do it. With our current strength, it is even more difficult. Not to mention the heavenly court that ruled the 10,000 races in the ancient great tribulation. Now, the 10,000 races are all doing their own things. In the end, the dog emperor shook his head helplessly. They were not strong to begin with, and now they were all doing their own things. Things were even more difficult. Qin Shujian said, "It is now the era of great tribulation. As the emperors of your races, you should be able to sense the changes in the great tribulation of heaven and earth. The next 100 years will be the last chance for the 10,000 races. You have to know that everything has a chance of survival. If we can grasp the great tribulation of heaven and earth, there is still hope for us to survive." "What do you mean, Emperor Qin?" "The great tribulation of heaven and earth requires the 10,000 races to fight for it. The more great tribulation of heaven and earth a race obtains, the more experts it can produce. The survival of the fittest has always been an unchanging principle. However, in the era of great tribulation, it has become clearer and more tragic." Qin Shujian's gaze was deep as he spoke slowly. After he finished speaking, his words paused for a moment, and then his tone suddenly changed. "In the next year, Ben Huang will open up the 10,000 races battlefield to fight for the great tribulation of heaven and earth." 10,000 races battlefield? Hearing this, everyone looked at each other in dismay. This name, it was the first time they had heard of it. Qin Shujian said, "Now, the 4 continents cannot lose too much power. At least at the level of true immortals, we cannot lose too much. The opening of the 10,000 races battlefield is to resolve the grievances of the 10,000 races and also to fight for the great tribulation of heaven and earth. The participants are all cultivators of the 10,000 races. The success or failure of the 10,000 races battlefield will determine the ownership of the great tribulation of heaven and earth." The matter of the 10,000 races battlefield. Qin Shujian already had a clear picture of the situation. The reason why it was not open now was because the strength of the human race had not completely stabilized. 1 year. It could be considered as a buffer for the human race. The dog emperor was deep in thought. Hearing Qin Shujian's words, he finally understood what was going on with the 10,000 races battlefield. At this moment, he was considering the gains and losses of this matter. As for the Black Emperor, Earth Emperor, and Spirit Protection Emperor, there were no changes. They were already vassals of the human race. No matter what decision the human race made, the 3 races had no possibility of rejecting it. Vassals. It wasn't just empty talk. The human race was equivalent to giving orders while the other 3 races were their henchmen. Of course, as a reward for being a vassal, the human race also had the responsibility to protect the 3 races. A moment later, the dog emperor said, "I'm afraid the matter of the 10,000 races battlefield is not something that we can decide. If the other races are not willing, it will be difficult for them to continue." "Dog Emperor, don't worry. The 10,000 races will agree." Qin Shujian smiled faintly. He was not worried that the 10,000 races would disagree. Especially the top races such as the Monster Race and the Blood Eldar, there was no possibility of them rejecting. The 10,000 races battlefield. Not only was it beneficial to the human race, but it was also beneficial to the various races. Seriously speaking, in fact, compared to the other races, the human race was at a disadvantage. It was very simple, because the human race did not have many mighty figures that they could send out. It was only because the mighty figures of the various races had lost a lot that Qin Shujian dared to make this decision. Therefore, he was never worried that there would be races that would disagree with the 10,000 races battlefield. As for the benefits of the source of life, Qin Shujian would not tell outsiders. Therefore, in this matter, other than the benefits of Qin Shujian secretly harvesting the source of life, the human race did not have any substantial benefits. Hearing this, the Dog Emperor also nodded. Since the Qin Emperor has made his decision, Ben Huang will naturally not refuse. The 10,000 races battlefield was also beneficial to the nine-headed dog clan. After all, without a true immortal, the nine-headed dog clan might not be weaker than the other forces. Qin Shujian said, regarding the 10,000 races battlefield, please do not spread it out for the time being. When the time is right, Ben Huang will inform the other forces. Qin Emperor, don't worry. Not a single word of what is said here will be spread. The Black Emperor patted his chest and said, to this. The Dog Emperor and the others glanced at him and ignored him. Subsequently, the four emperors got up and left. The purpose of their visit this time was to understand the great calamity of the demon abyss. After confirming, then there was nothing more to say. After they left, Qin Shujian called Huazhan. Qin Emperor, what are your orders? Spread the news that the demon abyss is approaching heaven and earth. Qin Shujian pondered for a moment and said lightly. Huazhan cupped his hands and accepted the order. Yes, sir. Soon, Qin Shujian was the only one left in the main hall of the city lord's mansion. 100 years. Is there really 100 years left before the great calamity of the demon abyss approaches? He was asking himself and also asking the Godslayer. Many spirit veins poured into the eastern continent. The spirit chi in the eastern continent had increased by several levels. If he guessed correctly, the demon abyss would arrive in less than 100 years. The Godslayer said calmly, the aura of the demon abyss is already very close. 100 years is the original saying. Now, it would be good to have 50 to 60 years. Maybe it will be even shorter. 50 to 60 years, or even shorter. Qin Shujian's expression was also solemn. He had already considered this when he was increasing the spirit chi in the eastern continent. However, Qin Shujian had to do this. In the original situation of the human clan, it would be difficult for them to develop steadily for 100 years. Only by burning the boats could they have a chance to turn things around. As a price, the time of the demon abyss approaching would be greatly advanced. Regarding this matter, Qin Shujian could not judge the pros and cons. However, in his opinion, this was the only way out for the human clan. 50 to 60 years should be the best plan. If it's the worst plan, it might only be 20 to 30 years. Qin Shujian could feel it. Now in the eastern continent, the speed of the development of regions was much faster. He raised his head and looked at the sky with a complicated expression. Senior, what exactly is the momentum of heaven and earth that you mentioned? I can sense the existence of the momentum of heaven and earth, as well as the awakening of the momentum of heaven and earth after the birth of a true immortal. Qin Shujian asked softly. As the human emperor, he could feel everything about the momentum of heaven and earth. However, it seemed that he could not feel anything. Godslayer said, you can think of the momentum of heaven and earth as the heavenly path's luck. In fact, it's similar. Just like in the human clan, when the human clan's luck is poured into a person, then he is the son of luck. And the son of luck will have everything smooth sailing, and his realm will also improve faster. Hearing this, Qin Shujian also had a rough understanding. The momentum of heaven and earth. It was equivalent to the heavenly path's luck. After having the Dharma eye, he also had a better understanding of luck. If luck was divided into 4 types, then it could be divided into 4 types. The first was personal luck. The second was the sex luck. The third was the clan's luck. The fourth was the heavenly path's luck. Among the 4, the heavenly path's luck was naturally above all the other luck, and then the clan's luck was above the personal luck and the sex luck. However, the personal luck and the sex luck, it was not easy to tell the difference. Then, Qin Shujian also focused his attention on himself. The source of life has already exceeded 1 trillion. It consumed 1 trillion to reach the 7th level of the celestial being. Then, the 8th level of the celestial being will most likely require about 2 trillion. Even if it's not, there won't be much of a difference. He now had a certain estimate of his own improvement. As for the source of life being able to break through the 1 trillion mark so quickly, it was still because of the previous battle. A true immortal of the God Clan, and then killed the ancient Buddha Emperor and the Divine Emperor, as well as a God Clan and many almighty experts outside the human clan's territory. With so many gains added up, The source of life naturally exceeded 1 trillion. Among them, half of the 1 trillion source of life was contributed by the true immortal of the God clan, a true immortal level expert. The source of life that was contributed was not something that other cultivators could compare with. It's a pity that when the ancient Buddha emperor attained the Tao, that true immortal was not killed by me. Otherwise, even if my source of life did not reach 2 trillion, it would be close. Thinking of that true immortal who self-destructed, Qin Shujian felt a little regretful. The other party self-destructed, so it was not considered that he killed him, so the source of life was not counted as his. However, Qin Shujian only felt a little regretful. Now, the human clan could steadily provide 120 billion sources of life every month. 500 billion sources of life would only be a matter of a few months. Although there was not much time now, but he could still afford to wait a few months. When I break through to the 8th level of the celestial being, my strength will definitely increase greatly. At that time, the demon emperor should not be a match for me, but whether he can stand shoulder to shoulder with Emperor Zhao is still a question. Qin Shujian pondered for a moment. Challenging someone of a higher level was not an easy task. If it was an ordinary true immortal, it would be fine. Emperor Zhao had received the legacy of the heavenly court and was an extremely terrifying expert. To challenge such an expert of a higher level was much more difficult than to challenge other true immortals. P.S. There's only one today. There's no other way. There's no update tomorrow morning. I'll update it during the day and try to recover in the next 2 days. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.